any kind of security, intimidation, human rights, welfare, good life. All these are the reasons that under the leadership of Professor Akintoye, that he has asked President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in a letter dated May 25, 2025, and a previous one that was sent last year, April, and the one that was sent prior before Tinubu to the previous President Muhammadu Buhari. And in all these letters, Professor Akintoye, the national leader of the Yoruba self-determination movement, warned both the former president and likewise President Bola Tinubu, the sitting president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that the Yoruba people have made up their mind, and under the United Nations Charter and the African Union, that Nigeria is a signatory, that we would love to have the federal government of Nigeria under the sitting president, President Bola Tinubu, to set up a committee while the Yoruba Nation self-determination movement would also, at any given time on a standby, can negotiate a peaceful exit of the millions of the Yoruba people, 60 million plus the diaspora, without a bloodshed. But it seems that the current president continues to live in denial rather than face the reality that this country that was created in 1914, amalgamation, has come to where the unity is no longer visible across every part of Nigeria. But it is sad that 60 million Yoruba people will have to witness exactly what was witnessed during the Yugoslavia should His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu refuse to dissolve Nigeria in time before 2027. The current president seems to be advised wrongly that the next election, that the tendency of that happening with the amount and the influx of the insecurity currently in the country is not likely to happen. Should the president refuse and allow a peaceful dissolution, then the tendency of millions of people to die is likely. So what we are doing on this platform, Koiki Media, is to continue to put it on record that as much as Tinubu is a Yoruba man, he might likely face a lot of persecution in the near future should Nigeria become the next Yugoslavia. President Bola Tinubu must understand that the 60 million out of the 240 million that are Yorubas residing in the southwest part of the country have made up their mind to have their own independent country, far away from the current structure of the British amalgamation of 1914. And as we will be reminding the president again, that any sort of intimidation across the Yoruba land during this peaceful rally of the indigenous people, while the rally continues in its 8th day, should any security operatives, the DSS, the Nigerian police, and any other security threatening any indigenous Yoruba people in the Southwest, then there will be some serious consequences that is going to take place. As we continue to advise our people back home to push further as instructed by the leader of the national movement, that the Yoruba mega rally should continue. And this is also some serious warning to all the governors across the state that the Yoruba people are doing exactly their right, and no form of intimidation or persecution should occur throughout the rallies in any part of the Yoruba land, from Lagos to Ogun State, to Oyo State, to Osun State, Ondo State, Ekiti State, Kogi State, and Kwara State. Should anyone be arrested or intimidated, there will be serious consequence to such. And that is the reason why a letter was sent ahead to the sitting president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the letter goes like this: the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement, a public letter to His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of Nigeria, dated May 25, 2025. Your Excellency, President of Nigeria, and the most eminent son of our Yoruba nation today, we, your people and kinsmen, representing millions of Yoruba people in Yoruba land in Nigeria and the Yoruba diaspora across the world, have the honor to address this letter to you. We hope and pray that it meets you in good health and high spirit. We write it to bring to your attention and to seek your intervention over some concerns of your Yoruba people. First, Your Excellency, we, your people, are seriously concerned about certain directions in the operation of the authority of the Nigerian police, the Directorate of the State Security, and other federal security agencies, Among us, Yoruba people of the southwest of Nigeria and of Kwara and Kogi State. These federal agencies tend to view all Yoruba youth as insurgents or terrorists, even though everybody knows, including the president as he visited Benue State yesterday, the 18th of June 2025. As we speak today, no single arrest has been made, according to the president himself during his visit to Benue State. While the president was making his visit, the president was asking a failed Inspector General of Police that represents a failed country, while no arrest has been made since many attacks on innocent Nigerians. But Nigeria police are quick to act and arrest innocent Yoruba people that have done nothing wrong apart from asking for their right to self-determination. There is a genocide playing out currently in the country, and many knows this, and this is why we are putting it out there again tonight at the early hours of this morning from Koiki Media, under the leadership that there will be a serious consequence should any one of our Yorubas that are currently putting out their voices on the reason why they can no longer live in a country where killings and the economy that died, the welfare of our people is no longer guaranteed under this government and Nigeria as a whole. The economic hardship, the pain will never end soon. The death of many will occur even after the visit of the president will make no impact, because we have witnessed as many of these terrorist attacks that continue not just in Benue State, in Plateau State, in Oyo State, where there was a terrorist attack in Bodija that led to multiple deaths and destructions of lives and property. We also remember those that were killed in a terrorist attack and a bomb attack at the St. Francis Church, Catholic Church in Ondo State in 2022. And like I said, not a single arrest. We try to understand that there can never be an arrest because the Fulanis have made it known that they own Nigeria and they would do exactly whatever they feel to kill, maim, destroy, and also Islamize Nigeria. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu knows quite well that not a single person can be arrested, because the Sultan of Sokoto would not give access for his clan, as President Buhari, the former president, made it known as well, that no Fulani can be arrested because their right must be respected. And as you can see from the channel's television, as this is being documented today on Koiki Media, the 19th of June 2025, at exactly 3:35 a.m. in the morning. Benue State killing, let's get those criminals. The president continued to refuse to accept that these are not criminals. These are full-blown Fulani terrorists that are going to kill 60 million Yoruba people should we do nothing. Tinubu tells the service chief, the Inspector General of Police, to do what? To go after those that have also killed men, destroyed, looted the military barracks. President Bola Tinubu knows quite well, as being stated in the letter, that the right of the Yoruba people should be respected during this very tough time, that we want to ease our pain after 110 years of a fraudulent 1914 amalgamation. And any kind of intimidation by any kind of arrest can also lead to a serious consequences that can generate into chaos, crisis, and anarchy. And we are using this opportunity not to beg this administration, but to put it on record that any Yorubas that are out there as instructed by the leadership of Professor Akintoye that is arrested, there will be serious consequences to such an arrest. Again, the current president knows quite well that not a single Fulani terrorist can be arrested because they have proved that Nigeria belongs to them. And this is why we continue to say to the 60 million Yoruba people to continue their peaceful rally as instructed, as we are now on the day 8. And there should not be any arrest, because as we speak today, as the president left Benue State, as Benue continue to cry, as Nigerians continue to cry, there will be no peace and unity among Nigerians, because Nigeria is not a country. There are many nations in Nigeria, and that is why, in the interest of moving forward, the current administration must now move the motion to dissolve Nigeria now. Should that not happen, I will explain what is likely to happen. Let's listen to President himself, Tinubu, as he was asking some questions yesterday.
To the men and women of the armed forces, the security forces, the police, thank you for the good job you have been doing and what you are still doing to keep our citizens safe and our country more respected. I know you've sacrificed so many lives. Watch some of your comments. So many nights and stay in the bush. Sacrifice your time. I salute all of you. I say thank you very much.
Wow, that is what a leader that represent 240 million people can say in the midst of a failed state. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as I stated back in the letter that was sent to you, that there has been a lot of intimidation in the past for many decades. And also as the Yoruba Nation self-determination kickstart precisely about 5 years ago, these security agencies among us in the southwest of Nigeria, the federal agency tend to view all the Yoruba Nation youth as insurgents or terrorists. But this administration knows quite those that are terrorists and those that are insurgents, because evidence has pointed on many occasions that for any country that is a failed state, there are indices that indicate such. Let us go back before we come back again to the letter, because I am backing this Professor Akintoye's letter with evidence that is out there in the public domain that Nigeria remain a failed state and there will be no changes to that until the country dissolves. But for the Yoruba elite, the Yoruba politicians and the Yoruba kings that are living in denial, what happened in Benue State is going to be a child's play to what we should expect in Yoruba land should we refuse to dissolve quickly away from Nigeria. Let us look at this article that was put out 3 years ago on the UK Guardian, and the headline says, and I quote, "Failed state with a question mark. While Nigeria's fragile democracy is facing uncertain future." This was before the death of innocent Nigerians by the Fulani terrorists, the Boko Haram, that took place in Benue State on the 15th, that led to over 300 innocent lives to be taken out. Let's just listen to some of the cry of these innocent Nigerians, according to a video that was obtained by Koiki Media when a human rights activist, very dark man, visited Benue State on Sunday the 16th. What we saw and what many heard has become a nightmare that reminded us of what exactly happened as well during the massacre at the St. Francis Church in Owo, Ondo State in 2022. We will not be able to show you the video because they are too graphic, but let us listen to the audio coming from very dark man that has now made many media around the world, including the Reuters, to make use of this video as an evidence against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and that can end up at the International Criminal Court because nobody has been arrested. And as the Yoruba nation continue to push, should there be any form of attack against us, these are also evidence that will be presented to the United Nations, the Human Rights Commission, the African Union, that our right to self-determination must now be accepted since the current administration failed to do the needful to protect lives and properties of Yoruba people, and that is the reason why we cannot sit behind while attacks continue. Let's listen to this current video that was dated the 16th of June 2025, sorry, the 15th. The incident occurred between the mid-morning of the 14th of June, lasted for 3 hours plus, according to the eyewitness. The message is Nigeria is a failed state because of this video that you can only hear the sound clip.
Live in in Benue State, where the attack took place yesterday, that claimed the lives of over 200 persons. The X-Men attack, now what my eyes have seen, see by yourself. Now, if you notice something, you can see the smoke still coming out because everywhere was burnt. Please take the camera around. Now, let me show you this thing. Please. This video is very sensitive, so it might be very disturbing for you. So the warning is on the video. Now, these are human beings. This is the child that was burnt to ashes. This is another one. This is number 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. This is number 4. This is 5. This is 6. Now look at the score of this one. This is 7.
For those that probably might not have seen this video before, these are humans being children burnt to death in their sleep by the Fulani terrorists. And this is the reason, and many others, why the Yoruba people are currently out on the day 8, pushing for the final exit out of Nigeria before these terrorists get closer more into the southwest, even though they continue to operate across the southwest, kidnapping, maiming, killing innocent Yoruba people and those that are traveling into Yoruba land, that is the southwest of Nigeria.
These are their bones. These are children.
These are children, as you heard there. And also, this was the reason why the current Pope spoke from Rome on Sunday before the Mass about the killings.
Nella notte tra il 13 e il 14 giugno, nella città di Yelewata, nell'area amministrativa locale di Guma, nello stato di Benue, in Nigeria, si è verificato un terribile massacro in cui circa 200 persone sono state uccise con estrema crudeltà, la maggior parte delle quali erano sfollati interni, ospitati dalla missione cattolica locale. Prego affinché la sicurezza, la giustizia e la pace prevalgano in Nigeria, paese amato e così colpito da varie forme di violenza. E prego in modo particolare per le comunità cristiane rurali dello stato di Benue, che incessantemente sono stati vittime della violenza.
We might not have heard what this Pope have said, and this is also one of the reasons why the Yoruba want their own language back. in their own independent Yoruba country. But there is a translation in the Vatican news that explain what the Pope was actually saying. And let's quickly go through that. According to the Vatican, on Sunday, posted on their website, "Stop Benue killing." As you can see, the little young girl that has no hope, just as 60 million Yoruba people has no hope. And we are telling this administration to look into the dissolution now rather than think about another election that is not going to bring any unity or peace. Rather, there will be more genocide. According to it, it says, and I quote, "Nigeria stopped killings in Benue State. Nigerian church grateful for Pope Leo's support and prayer over the killings in Benue State." In an editorial for the Nigerian Catholic Network written by the Church Authority at the Catholic Secretariat of Nigeria, Abuja, has commended Pope Leo, the current Pope, that spoke to about 1 billion people during the Mass in Rome, for his prompt message that the current President Tinubu failed to do so because Tinubu did not speak 48 hours after the death of over 300 people that he said he is the president of. According to the editorial, the Nigerian church appreciates the Pope's closeness to Nigeria over the killings in Benue State. They, however, sharply criticize the silence, inaction, and how Nigerians' authority have often handled this matter as Tinubu continues to call terrorists criminals. And that takes us back again to the letter that was addressed to Tinubu to warn his security agencies across Yoruba land that as the Yoruba people are out there demanding their right, should anyone be picked up, arrested, intimidated during this process, there will be serious consequences to this government as we would decide matters that will be taken as reason why we are telling the international community that Nigeria is a failed state that is not likely to come back to reality being a country, because it was never a country, because the Yoruba has been existing for more than 14,000 years prior, before Britain decided to amalgamate Nigeria for their own selfish interest. The attacks will continue, whether Tinubu travels across the 36 states. The Fulani agenda is real, but millions of Yoruba people that are still living in denial, that doesn't want to accept this reality, must now wake up from their slumber before Tinubu put every one of us in a deep mess. There is still a little room to maneuver and exit now. But if we don't exit now, there are going to likely be some serious consequences that could lead to the millions of innocent lives in the southwest and across other parts of Nigeria, where death would eventually occur. And this is evidence to that.
They are systematically taking over Nigeria, and they want to make Nigeria into a Muslim caliphate. And the Fulani ethnic militia, the Muslim terrorists, going to Christian villages, they're not coming in with cattle. They're coming in on motorcycles with AK-47s and killing everything that moves, and then destroying and razing the entire village.
And yelling Allahu Akbar
while doing it. And it has nothing to do with climate change. These are nomadic herders that have 500-year-old view of cattle farming. Nigeria was 70% Christian.
Amazing.
Now it's 50-50. It's 50% Muslim, 50% Christian.
Because they've been killing.
Because they have been going back to their systematic jihad. Now, look, Islam has conquered every civilization it's touched since 640 AD through three methods of jihad. One, cultural jihad. We'll move in, we'll blend in with the population as we're a minority. Then they start gaining a population, having lots of kids. Then once they get a population, they do political jihad. All right?
And cultural.
Then cultural jihad. Then after political jihad, once they have the political cover to do the violence, they go into violent jihad and take over territory. And that is how they have systematically taken over all of northern Africa.
Well, and what's particularly interesting when you dig a little deeper is that the Fulani tribe doesn't just exist in Nigeria. They're in Sierra Leone and Senegal and right across the border, right? I mean, throughout the center and east of Africa and west.
And for some magical reason, every country they touch turns into war.
Yes, and when you
turns into genocide and turns into war. Every country that they touch.
You're listening to Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorstep as we continue to tell this current administration not to intimidate, arrest, attack any Yoruba that are currently out there doing exactly what they've been asked to do by the national leader of the Yoruba nation, to demand their right to self-determination. And we are grateful for those that are currently doing exactly what you have been asked to do. There is still room for those of you that are sitting back and waiting to go out there as those that are currently doing on a daily basis as videos are being sent to us, pushing and asking that this country is no longer working, and some of those videos is coming from Osun State. Let's listen to this. If everyone is doing exactly what Baba Kitoye have instructed us to do, it will gain more popularity in your state. Presently, across all the Yoruba land, Osun State is the only state that I can confirm is making much effort to the actualization as instructed under the leadership of Baba Kitoye to go out there and tell everyone about why we are going to exit. This is not awareness, it is a rally, and the rally will eventually lead to the declaration of a Yoruba country. And this is why we put it out again to President Bola Tinubu to warn every security agency not to intimidate these individuals as they continue to mobilize and prepare for our exit. The country is already a failed state, and nothing is going to stop it from changing back into a current system that works. And this is another evidence coming from Osun State again, as day 8 of the Yoruba Nation Mega Rally continue across Yoruba land. As you can see, the amount of suffering of Yoruba people, looking at the background, the lives of these Yoruba people in Osun State, and also across every Yoruba state. This administration can no longer protect us against the Fulani attacks, cannot give us our identity, and this is why we are now pushing our exit out of Nigeria. The plan to exit is already been activated, and that is why people are out there on a daily basis, has been instructed to do so, as today is the 8th day of the ongoing rally. Let's go to another state, that is Lagos State, Alimosho, for another voice of the Yoruba people that have spoken.
Nigeria, ìlú tí wọ́n pè ní Nàìjíríà ó ti ẹ̀sùáyà láti 2014. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni rí pé wọ́n kọ sínú ìwé yìí pé ìran Yorùbá ń rìnrìn àjò láti gba òmìnira. Wọ́n kọ sí ìsàlẹ̀ ìwé yìí pé ǹjẹ́ o mọ̀ pé bí lílo òmùgbà tó ti bàjẹ́ ó ṣe ṣe àkóbá fún ara, ó ṣe léwu fún àgọ́ ara wa ní wíwà nínú ìlú tí kò ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́ tó léwu fún ọmọ ènìyàn. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni òfin ayédèrú ni òfin tí ó so Nàìjíríà papọ̀ ní ọdún 1914. Òfin náà ti di òfin ní ọdún 2014. Kí ni ọmọ aládé sì ń ṣe nínú gbogbo ẹrú Nàìjíríà? Wọ́n pa ẹ̀gbọ́n ìkọ̀rẹ́ sí àwọn ọmọ aládé wọ́n lè ṣe ẹrú. Lókìkọ àti ohun àtẹ̀jáde gbára sí ẹ̀rọ bàbá olóṣọ́gbà àti lórí ẹ̀rọ. Wọ́n ní a máa ṣe ìdáragbà fún ìwọ́de ilé ìtọ́lá ìlànà láti gbogbo àgbáyé tó jẹ́ alálàáfíà. Wọ́n á sọ àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n jẹ́ pé wọ́n máa jẹ́ ohun èlò àti ìlànà tí ó máa jẹ́ ìrọ̀rùn fún wa sí alága òmìnira. Èyí tó jẹ́ àkọ́kọ́ nínú ẹ̀ òun ni wípé tí a bá gba òmìnira wa, èdè Yorùbá ni yóò jẹ́ èdè Yorùbá tí àwọn orílẹ̀-èdè míì ṣe ń sọ èdè wọn tó jẹ́ èdè wọn ní ìlú wọn.
For those that do not understand what these our comrades in Alimosho are saying, They are presenting themselves in a well-organized and systematic way for our preparation to exit the current Nigeria that was amalgamated in 1914. And as you can tell, they have no weapons. They are reading out their right to members of the public in Lagos State, and we do not expect any kind of intimidation or arrest. There will be serious consequences to the state governors, the commissioner for police. What will be the serious consequences will be left off the social media. But let us warn every state governors, as our youths, our elderly, our physical challenge, those that Nigeria has intimidated for over 110 years are now out there asking for the right for the country to be dissolved. Should anyone, and I repeat again, should anyone be picked up, intimidated, arrested, whether as individual, the wife, the children, we would not take it slightly with the state. We would have to activate the consequences in that state, in that local government, in that police station, in that DSS custody, because we have evidence that criminals that should be in the custody are no longer in the custody because they have the influence of the Fulani Caliphate. And one of those individuals, as a reminder for those of us that are watching and those that will have to repeat to watch it later, that there was a particular case of an individual terrorist that was terrorizing Yoruba people in Okeogun, in Oyo State, southwest of Nigeria. For whatever reason, as I speak to you today, this individual was not just released. There was an attack at Ibadan prison, Abolongo precisely, Iskilu, that was Agodi, I believe. Iskilu, there was a prison break, and many Yoruba people have forgotten about these. As I speak to you today, this individual has not yet been found because he was released by his own Fulani terrorist clan. The Oyo State governor failed to protect Yoruba people, and the attack that took place at the Bodija as we know, could have been planned by some of these Fulani terrorists. And I'm asking again, for how long do we live in a country like this, knowing fully well that it will continue? Oyo jailbreak, our gunmen attack Oyo prison and free over 800 prisoners. As I speak to you today, this was during the former President Muhammadu Buhari. This individual that you're looking at was one of the Fulani terrorist clan operating in Okeogun. Yet, this government and the previous one could not protect our lives because these are the same individual terrorists that continue to operate across Yoruba land today. Let's look at how the news came out when the Oyo jailbreak occurred, according to the BBC report as at the time. The BBC report made it known that there was an attack, and this was sometimes in October 23rd, 2021. Oyo jailbreak, how gunmen attack Oyo prison and free over 800 prisoners. Nigerian government don't begin look for over 500 prisoners who escape from the medium security custody center for Oyo State. This now after gunmen attack prison facility on Friday night for Abolongo area of the state. Now, as 837 prisoners escaped from this custodial center after the attack took place for the Coronation Center. Who was this person? This was Iskilu Wakilu. We know what Iskilu Wakilu did, and this was the reason why he was stopped after many atrocity, and the Oyo State governor could not prevent a security measure for the lives of innocent Yoruba people. We cannot continue to live like this. Because we know definitely that it will only get worse. Iskilu, a notorious Fulani warlord, was arrested in March 2021, but was free again by his people. Let's look at the Punch newspaper for the reference purpose of this broadcast. 7th of March 2021, you can see the headline. Notorious Fulani warlord Iskilu Wakilu arrested in Oyo State. A joint team of Ibarapa security operatives, including Oodua People Congress Vigilante, and other groups have arrested the notorious Fulani warlord terrorizing Oyo community Iskilu Wakilu. The Punch gathered that Wakilu was arrested after several attempts resulting in a gun battle. There have been reports that Wakilu and his gang were involved in the killings, kidnapping of several people in Ibarapa, Okeogun, Oyo State. Wakilu was nabbed barely 7 days after second in command Isiaka Muhammadu was arrested alongside 4 others. These are one of the reasons, and many, that Babaki Toye is now telling the current president that Nigeria is no longer a country for Yoruba people. Rather than arrest, persecute terrorists, it is innocent Yoruba people that this administration and the previous have continued to intimidate. We are putting this out as a reference to the United Nations, the European Union, and the government around the world, that we are already at the crossroad and we are not going to back down until our demands are met. The current rally might have started at a slow pace, but the end result would be achieved. Warnings are given in advance because of the consequences that can happen. Several warnings has been given to this government and the international community, as a letter that was also sent to London in October last year. And many others complain across different quarters, from the United Nations, the UNPO, the European Union, the African Union, the ECOWAS Court. All these are just evidence to prepare that the Yoruba people have decided to take what belongs to them back. And we have not done anything against the law. As this rally continues to build the momentum, should anyone try within the state, the federal, the Senate to stop it, there will be serious consequences for such. And the consequences mean that our people will not be left behind while they are being intimidated by the federal government. No Yoruba citizens will be left from any manner of intimidation during this process. So for those of you that are out there that are Yorubas and worried and concerned, go ahead and continue to do exactly what you have been asked to do, while the leadership will continue to update through all the media network that the evidence is pointed out that since Nigeria is a failed state, that we're going to explain, and what can lead into when a country is a failed state. Should a country be a failed state, many things will start happening. Those things are currently been happening in Nigeria for the last 20 years, and they are not likely to stop. It did not start during this Tinubu administration, but it has been going on throughout the 20 years of what many thought was a democracy across the Southwest. Rather than the politicians to look after the Yoruba people in Nigeria, they have enriched, they have done things that favors themselves, their family, their cronies, and made life difficult for the Yoruba people within Nigeria. And since Baba Akintoye has already activated what we can call the Yoruba nation self-determination, that is the word that says no going back. No going back means that the Yoruba people will continue exactly what they can do best. The Yoruba people will do exactly what is necessary. And that is exactly what we are doing during these days and weeks. How long the rally will last that would eventually lead to an independent Yoruba nation will be determined by the leadership of Professor Akintoye and those that works with him. But the fact remains that Baba Akintoye activated Yoruba Nation before President Bola Tinubu became the president, and as letters were presented to the previous government that refused to accept our proposal to exit Nigeria in a normal diplomacy negotiation. The same thing is currently being done with this current administration, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to accept the proposal of the Yoruba people to exit Nigeria. But it seems that this current administration does not want to accept such a proposal. It is not late yet. It can still be done. This is how Igboho went into the Downing Street.
Yoruba nationals to take Downing Street to petition the British Prime Minister, the secession and self-determination.
And as you can see there, Igboho and also those that traveled with him to present this message to the UK government on behalf of Baba Akintoye and the 60 million Yoruba people, that everybody understand that Nigeria is now a failed state. This has nothing to do with Tinubu, that he made Nigeria a failed state. But Tinubu cannot stop Nigeria from being a failed state, because it is already a failed state before Tinubu came to power, and it will get worse before Tinubu leaves power. The previous administration protected terrorists within his government, just as Tinubu is losing the grip today as well. President Tinubu is already losing the grip of Nigeria, as we said earlier, with the death of 240 plus. That is what we know, but I'm sure the numbers will be higher than that. Let's go back and listen carefully to how the presentation of the death of people that have names, that have dreams, that have future, children. I am asking the British government, would you allow terrorists to burn down children in England, Scotland, in Wales? Would you tolerate the invasion of terrorists on the Scottish farm as farmers are making their way to the farm? Will the British government that joined Nigeria together look away and do nothing when terrorists attack the UK? We know how the UK government felt in 2006 precisely, when there was a terrorist attack in England, London precisely, that is now known as the London bombing. Sorry, I take that back, 2005, not 2006. There was a serious terrorist attack in 2005, a day that millions of people around the world felt that UK will not bounce back. UK was able to bounce back because they knew or know rather, the consequences of not protecting their economy should Britain has done nothing. UK economy would have died and paralyzed after that. The Nigerian government cannot save the lives of innocent people because the stakeholders in Nigeria does not want such to happen. So President Bola Tinubu is being deceived by his team on a daily basis and those surrounding him that he can still salvage what died many years ago. But we are saying it again to this administration for the purpose of us all going into a serious war, which is likely to happen. Rather than indigenous people fighting back the Fulanis, and the Fulanis are also going to fight back, and there will be multiple loss of lives, why not allow this country to dissolve in peaceful way, rather than allow it to go through the same process that took place in Yugoslavia many years ago, according to Professor Akintoye in his letter addressed to you, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You are quite aware that what happened in London in 2005, that is known as the London bombing, that took place on the 7th of July 2005, when 4 suicide bombers struck London transport network, killing 52 people and injuring 770 others, some of them life-changing. 3 of the blasts happened on the London underground. Even with the amount of security, there was still a slip of a terrorist attack in the UK in 2005. All these started happening just before 9 a.m. during a rush hour as innocent British citizens were heading to work and all different places. One of those events that started with this terrorist attack was at exactly 8:50 a.m. in the vicinity of Aldgate, Edgware Road, and Russell Square stations. The 4th device exploded at about 9:47 a.m. on a bus that had been diverted via Trafalgar Square in London, close to where the BTP headquarters was, the British Transport Police. Terrorist attack does not mind whether you are a Muslim, Christians, Jew, Hindu, non-believer, atheist. All these were part of the 770 people that were affected. And for those Yorubas that are saying otherwise, think about it. Fulani terrorists, when they were killing over 300 people in Benue State, there was also ongoing killing in Enugu State. Enugu State also was attacked just 2 days ago. For how long are we all going to live in this kind of situation? And somebody is talking about 2027. Terrorists are not looking towards 2027, yet your government is talking about 2027. Who is fooling who? 7 killed, 2 missing in a fresh Fulani attack in Enugu, because these are not herdsmen, as we have always been told. There is genocide going on across many states in Nigeria today. Yet, politicians are already gathering into another election in 2027. The Yoruba people are standing against all the Yoruba politicians, that we will not sit back and allow us to be used for politicking when terrorists are currently doing what they do best, just as they've done in the UK. But UK was now and has been able to nip the bud. Nigeria will not be able to nip the bud by stopping. Now that there is no terrorist threat in the UK as we speak right now, there is still imminent threat to the UK, because the current threat level as we speak today in the United Kingdom stand as we have said it many times on this platform, Koiki Media. According to the terrorism threat level, the national threat level in the UK that is divided into England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, has indicated that it is currently substantial. UK have 5 threat levels, and it goes like this. Lower, an attack is highly unlikely when it is on low. When it's on moderate, an attack is possibly but not likely. Substantial, which is currently where UK stand as we speak right now, an attack is likely. So UK is still not sleeping with all eyes closed, because the current threat level means that any part of United Kingdom that is known as England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, there's likely to be an attack, whether in the daytime, in the morning, in the afternoon. But the UK government is doing everything to protect the lives of their people and many Nigerians that are living in the UK, including the Yorubas. But the question is, can President Bola Ahmed Tinubu do the same thing in Nigeria? The answer is glaring, and the answer is no. And the reason why the answer is no is because the agenda is real. What agenda? The agenda that the Fulani wants to take Nigeria as their own. They have no land, and land is a precious that many Yoruba people that are not in support of Abakitoye. When we talk about land, there has always been land dispute. And the reason why there's a land dispute is because of the atrocities committed by the Europeans in Africa. The only way we can stop this land dispute is when we have a Yoruba country and we can protect our borders and make life a meaningful one for millions of Yoruba people. Should anyone be talking about 2027, you're likely pushing Tinubu to where Nigeria will lead itself into a disaster. Let's remind President Tinubu some of the reasons why we want to exit Nigeria, in case he's not aware anymore. Let me remind Tinubu that when is he going to visit Enugu State? Because there was also 7 innocent lives as this life also is valuable as the ones that died in Benue State. Suspected Fulani terrorists have killed at least 7 residents, leaving 2 others missing during an invasion of Agu Ama Autonomous Community in Ema Amufo Ise Uzu local government area of Enugu State. As the one in Benue State was happening in the middle of the morning on Sunday, this one happened in a broad daylight at exactly 16:30 local time. The attack, which occurred on Sunday around 4:30 p.m., has left residents in shock and fear. According to eyewitness, these terrorists were dropped from helicopters. You heard it right. That means the terrorists have now advanced by having an helicopter. Who is assisting them? How did they have access to the Nigerian airspace? Should we have a Yoruba country, we can protect and defend our airspace as it is currently being done as the war between Iran and Israel. Both are defending their airspace, and all the countries that are close by, like Jordan and many other countries in that region. But today, it is not new that we are hearing helicopters being used by terrorists. But according to eyewitness in Enugu State, terrorists were being dropped from the helicopter like a movie. They also hover over the community until after the attack. That means there was a kind of a backup. Yoruba people that are still clamoring for election in 2027. This is just to give you what is coming. We are not surprised to hear that helicopter is now being used, but let's go back as we continue to review the Benue, Enugu, and many attacks. But again, I want us to listen to Very Dark Man again in this audio clip. I cannot show you the video, it's too gruesome, but for just educational purpose and for records that the Yoruba people want an exit out of Nigeria for some of these reasons.
The attack took place yesterday that claimed the lives of over 200 persons. The headsmen attack. Now, what my eyes have seen, my mouth cannot speak unless you will see it by yourself. Please go to the camera. Now, if you notice something, you can see the smoke still coming out because everywhere was burnt. Please take the camera around. Now, let me show you this thing. Please. This video is very sensitive, so it might be very disturbing for you. So the warning is on. These are human beings. This is a child that was burnt to ashes. This is another one. This is number 2. This is number 3. This is number 4. This is number 4. This is 5. This is 6. Now look at this color. This one. This is 7. These are their bones. These are children that were born in this place. As I am counting now, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just in this room alone, look at their bones. Look at their bones. You see in these bones? These are their bones. Now in this room again. This is another 1, 2, 3. Their bones as well. They were burnt. They were all burnt to ashes. Now let's go outside. Now this another room again. This is another person. This one you can see. This one is still even very much fresh. The body is still very fresh. It's another room again. Another room. This is another person in this. Their bones. See, there's a child. There's a child. See another one. These are children. These are children that were massacred here, burned to ashes here. Now, the reason why I came here, I'll go and interview some of the persons that were there, that witnessed everything, that can explain. The reason why I came is, one thing I've noticed is that it seems the government don't know what is happening. Maybe because it is not in their faces yet. I don't know why back in the day, when things like this happen, the news, the media bring it to our face.
The media in Nigeria are all corrupt and does not want to speak the truth to power. So if anyone is expecting any Nigerian media to tell you that Nigeria is now a failed state and is not going to become the country that we have been told lies by Britain, that by 2075, Nigeria will be the 5th largest economy, they are living in cocoon. There are many evidence that has pointed out, and this evidence continue as we share another backup evidence, as we pray for those that died in Benue State and Enugu and across Nigeria, that it is time now that everybody accept the truth, that the country you love so much will not protect you, will not defend you, and I can assure us that in the next couple of days, we'll be hearing more death coming out again from somewhere by the Fulani terrorists, because as they're attacking Kwara State, they're attacking, kidnapping, maiming, raping, destroying the Yoruba economy, and all these reasons makes it that Nigeria is a failed state. I have that evidence that back it up, but let's use this video coming from Arise News for the purpose of this broadcast at exactly 4:43 a.m. the 19th of June 2025. Koiki Media bringing the world closer to our doorstep. Let us hear from the presentation from the presenter and the guest that was brought to talk about this, Reverend Fred Patrick Alumuko, the Director of Communication, the Catholic Archbishop, the Catholics in Abuja. I do not have the copyright to this video.
Latest in yet another wave of attacks between cattle herders and farmers, violence that has simmered for years and which the authorities have struggled to contain. Nigeria's National Emergency Management Agency says it's working with aid agencies to help thousands of people displaced by the violence in a territory where the majority Muslim north meets the predominantly Christian south. The Catholic pontiff, Pope Leo, has joined millions of Nigerians in mourning what the Vatican called a brutal massacre. President Tinubu called the recent upsurge in attacks depressing and inhuman. Is due to visit Benue State on Wednesday, his first visit there since coming to office 2 years ago. So what can he do to bring peace to Benue State and the rest of the Middle Belt region? Well, from all this, I'm joined now in the studio by Reverend Father Patrick Alumuku, OON, Director of Communications at the Catholic Archdiocese of Abuja, and Father Alumuku is from Benue State. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Charles.
What's your reaction to this recent upsurge in violence in your home state of Benue?
Charles, this is a situation that is lamentable, unacceptable, could have been taken care of ahead of time. One event too many. The state of Benue has suffered a lot in the past number of years, not just in the past 2 years under this administration, but in successive administrations, one thought this would be taken care of. I want to thank Pope Leo XIV tonight for the awareness creation, because the whole world is abroad. The media is talking about it. Today, I received calls from Germany, from Italy, from France. There are people who want to come and visit. There are journalists who want to come and see what is happening here to report back to their people. I want to thank the United Nations for their voice today to say this is unacceptable. And the United Nations Secretary General who has spoken. I want to thank the Amnesty International, who says that justice must be made to bear in this circumstance. It's a situation that I think as a nation we must work towards ensuring that it's brought to an end.
And when you mentioned that all these people are phoning you from abroad.
When this individual says it must be brought to an end, the question is, how do you want to negotiate with a Fulani terrorist to bring it to an end? There can never be an end until the only way is dissolution. I want us to be reminded that Baba Akintoye wrote a letter in May before the massacre in Benue State, warning Tinubu that the longer you are keeping Nigeria together, the longer there will be genocide. And I've highlighted exactly in the paragraph that Baba Akintoye made it known to Tinubu in that letter. And then we will go back to the video of whether what Baba Akintoye said, if Tinubu have listened in May last month, by quickly bringing the owners of Nigeria, because mind you, according to Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Agbakoba, the real owners of Nigeria before Lugard came should be on the round table and discussing the dissolution, but rather Tinubu is talking about going further for another 2027 election that is going to be a disaster and many dead. Let's listen to what Baba Akintoye wrote as I read it out again. We Yoruba must say the following hard things now. They are hard, but it seems that the handlers and those surrounding Tinubu and our governors, our kings, are putting every one of us now in far more danger than what it used to be, because we can hear now that they have helicopter, and evidence has pointed out that there's helicopter in the past, but I'll bring that to you because we know that the late Malafia told us that when it comes to money, they have the logistics. What they're waiting for is to continue the push until many lives will be killed and the land will be taken over. We know that evidence is pointing out that there are support from the West to these Fulani terrorists. And that has started as far back as when Britain decided to use the Fulani against the Hausas in the northern region during the 1806 when Uthman Danfodio invaded, killed, jihad, and now use the north as one of their stronghold and march into the military, took the power through many coups d'etat, destroy everything. And today, the same Sultan of Sokoto that I call the devil of Sokoto is still forging ahead with the clan of the Fulani to destroy us. So Baba Akintoye said, and I quote to Tinubu, we Yoruba must say the following hard things now. It is preposterous. It says much about the abominable disease of Nigeria. It highlights part of the picture of Nigeria that have driven us to seek exit from Nigeria. What is seeking our exit is because Nigeria is now a disease cannot be fixed. Nigeria is a cancer that has eaten every part of Nigeria, from corruption to welfare, but most importantly, our stolen identity by Britain in 1914 needs to be returned back so that we can have our own identity like many other countries like China, like India. I watched the Indian Prime Minister with the Canadian. As the Canada was speaking English, the Indian Prime Minister Modi was addressing him back in his language. This is the future Yoruba government that will speak Yoruba and will be translated to the wider audience across the globe. But the purpose of this broadcast in English is to keep it on record, because consequences will be activated should our people be intimidated, arrested, and we can pull back this video and says that the government has been warned by letter before the massacre in Benue State. To seek our exit from Nigeria, that a peaceful and law-abiding people like us, Yoruba, are experiencing official persecution, like the Benue State are also, those in the Middle Belt, the Southeast, and the Hausas, intimidation and brutalization in Nigeria. So when anybody is asking us, why do we want to seek our exit out of Nigeria? We are experiencing official persecution, intimidation, and brutalization in Nigeria, and we can no longer tolerate that. Even while we are being brutalized by another people that are Fulanese clan in Nigeria, and whereas that the other people have been threatening all other peoples of Nigeria, we are not just the only one being threatening. Like I said earlier, many other indigenous people have been threatening. And like I said, over 240 innocent people, children, were burned to death, and the government have looked away. As I speak to you, it's almost 5 days now, and there's still no arrest, because these are people that are having meetings. We have the evidence. The Nigerian government, rather than arrest the terrorists, is having meetings with the same terrorist. And if you think this is something that we are making up, for those of you that are friends of Nigeria, whether you're a government, whether you have a business in Nigeria, it is time that you start moving your businesses out of Nigeria, because Tinubu is pushing Nigeria into another civil war. These are Fulani terrorists gathering with the Nigerian military somewhere in Castina in the open public, deliberating peace by begging them not to attack anymore. This is the evidence. We don't understand Hausa, but what we know is that the government is having what I call a meeting with terrorists. And you wonder, what kind of country can this be? You have seen it all, but it's still not yet over. Boko Haram having meeting with Nigeria government. What a time to be alive, to exit now before it is too late. Nobody should live in denial that this is not going to become a civil war if we all look away. Ado Aliero wants Nigerian government to stop calling them terrorists. The video you're watching is in Hausa because they are not interested in English. They're speaking in Hausa and the Fudede. And we're going to show you the quick evidence that pointed out that these individuals do not respect the sovereignty of Nigeria. Rather, they want to take over Nigeria for their own purpose. Do we all sit back and think that Tinubu will solve this problem? Let us continue our daily rally until it becomes bigger. As you can see on your screen right now, bandit leader, according to Sahara Reporter, Ado Ali Ero, warns Nigerian government, Tinubu precisely, stop calling us terrorists if you want peace. Do you understand that? Boasting about his role in banditry, this Fulani terrorist claimed he was one of his original mastermind. Yet, you can see the Nigerian army, the Nigerian police in Castina on the open, while millions of Yoruba people that are going out have been told not to carry weapons, but should the government dare try to arrest, intimidate, and pick anyone, there will be a serious consequences to such matters. For the international community, this is a terrorist that the federal government, is not the first time, it's not the second time. This article is dated 17th of June 2025. This Ado, a Fulani terrorist, the leader, is boasting that they are the mastermind of all the attacks. The marauders, the ISWAP, the ISIS. And we know that they have some backing. From outside world, especially from Pakistan, that is training these terrorists out to drive and maneuver drones and helicopter, that has now been an evidence that we've seen that occurred in Enugu State. As the Yoruba people, don't take this as a joke. Let's listen to the evidence that point out that yes, Pakistan sponsor Boko Haram terrorists right inside Nigeria. Let's watch this video.
Hello and welcome. We start with Nigeria. As the country grapples with a decades-long Islamist insurgency, a new threat has now come to light. Now hope to Nigerian terrorists may be coming from thousands of miles away from Pakistan. Last week, Nigeria arrested 4 Pakistani nationals for alleged terror links. The arrests were made in...
Did you hear that? 4 Pakistanis were arrested over terror links in the Northeast. Why? What is the purpose? Remember that Pakistan is an Islamic country that has supported so many terrorist attacks across Indian borders and continue to aid and support terrorists. One of such was Bin Laden, that was living right close to the military barracks in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the most countries that aid and fund terrorism. So we are not surprised, but the question is, can the Yoruba people understand why the push to Islamize Nigeria is still an ongoing project? And if you doubt it, while we continue to play this video, I will give you another evidence to back such. This is Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. At exactly few more hours, or few more minutes rather, we will listen to Kayode Mola on the interview granted on the Yoruba Radio Nation TV yesterday on the update of the rally.
Borno State, a hotbed of Nigeria's insurgent activity. Major General Absalam Abubakar, theater commander of anti-terror operations Hadin Kai, revealed shocking details during a security briefing. He said that Pakistani mercenaries have been training Boko Haram and Islamic State terrorists. They have provided both tactical and strategic expertise. With their help, terror groups have become deadlier, using drones for surveillance and attacks, and making sophisticated IEDs and booby traps targeting soldiers. Now, Nigeria has been battling.
Why is Pakistan doing such? Why is Pakistan training Boko Haram terrorists in Nigeria? Someone have the answer for us. And this is the answer.
It's not about sentiment. Is that there are a group of people in this country that feels that this country should be Islamized. This is a fact. I say you want me to start mentioning the names of people in this government that we have interrogated. I was a member of an interrogation team, and I've interrogated a very high-ranking member of this government in 2007, 2008 on the issue of Boko Haram. I interrogated him. He's in this government right now. And what was the issue? Boko Haram. And this senior officer was actually let go because he was found culpable. But right now he's in the government. You see, we must say the truth, because if you don't, this country is going down the precipice. We have been set back more than 60 years right now. We've gone back to the time before 1966 now. And whoever is coming back to repair this country has a lot of work to do.
And that person currently now is Tinubu, but is not doing nothing more than the fact that is adding more problem to what is currently happening. As we move swiftly because of our time, and listen now to update coming from the Deputy Leader of the Yoruba Nation Self-Determination in Diaspora, Kayode Emola, and we will come back to the final article, Failed State, and we will bring the broadcast to an end. Thank you so much for everyone that have joined us so far. And once again, a very good morning. As we take you now to listen to Kayode Emola while he was speaking yesterday, giving us all the updates and what next after the event of this rally that we have been told to start on June 12th.
tó àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ lọ́wọ́ bá ẹ káàbọ̀ padà bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe dára fọmọ́ wa lórí ètò lónìí ètò yìí tó wa òun náà ní ọ Yorùbá Nation Rally Update òun náà ní ó bí sí gbòyìn láti ṣe wa Yorùbá Nation Radio TV. Bàbá wa Káyọ̀dé Ẹ̀mọ̀lá wà lórí ètò pẹ̀lú wa. Bàbá ẹ bá káwọn ará ilé o.
Ilé kan sí o, Ọlọ́run wà pẹ̀lú wa o.
Àmín. Àmín, àmín. Ẹ wá bá wa dárúkọ yín ní kíkún fáwọn èèyàn àti ipò tẹ́ wà ní YSDM.
Káyọ̀dé Ẹ̀mọ̀lá lórúkọ mi, Deputy National Leader, Diaspora.
Ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Ẹ ṣeun àdúpẹ́. Bàbá wa Ẹ̀mọ̀lá náà ni ti gbọ́ ohùn ẹ lórí ètò. Àwọn náà láti máa fọ̀rọ̀ níbi tó rọ̀ lónìí. Bàbá ẹ jẹ́ ká ti bí ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ wípé tá a máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ YSDM. Kí ni nǹkan tí YSDM yìí kí ló dúró fún gan-an?
YSDM ó jẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ní Yorùbá Self-Determination Group. Ẹgbẹ́ tó kó gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ jọ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ìgbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìrìnàjò yìí ní 2019-2020. Kálukú ló wá dá ẹgbẹ́ sílẹ̀ ìgbà yẹn. Olúkálukú dá ẹgbẹ́ sílẹ̀. Àṣà wa Yorùbá yóò sí nǹkan tó burú nù ẹ̀. Àmọ́ àwọn international community sọ fún advice wa pé tá a bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ìrìn àjò wa ó máa pẹ́. Pé gbogbo wa kó ra jọ kan lójú kan ká wá ja ìjà yẹn. Bí ìgbà yẹn ni ìjà yẹn á tó lójútùú. Òun ni gbogbo ẹgbẹ́ àwọn akọ́ra wọn kò kì í ṣá wọn máa jẹ́ self-determination. Ó jẹ́ ìdí olúkálùkù wa máa ṣe tó bá fi kan self-determination. Láti máa sọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation.
Ẹ ṣeun. Tá a bá ń sọ nípa ọ̀rọ̀ rally kí ni nǹkan tí ẹrù bíbi ọ̀rọ̀ rally yìí gan-an tó fi wáyé?
Ṣé mọ̀ pé rally àwọn èèyàn ló ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ nípa rally. Kẹ́rì ìgbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní 2021 la bẹ̀rẹ̀ rally. Ìgbà tá a lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ abẹ́rẹ́ kékeré ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ní. Ó ti mọ̀ pé wọ́n wá gbé ìbọn ńlá.
Bear with us.
Abẹ́òkúta, àṣẹ ní Òṣogbo, àṣẹ ní àwọn awádìí Àkúrẹ́. Gbígbé tá a gbé dé Àkúrẹ́. Èrò ẹ wá wíwò. Ìgbà tá a máa gbọ́ Àkúrẹ́, àwa dé Èkìtì. Èrò tó wá sí Èkìtì ó tún wá á rò pé Èkìtì gbogbo. Ó kéré ju Àkúrẹ́ lọ. Àwọn èèyàn tó máa wá sí Èkìtì wọn ò ní pọ̀. Nígbà tó ń rí èrò ní Èkìtì, ẹ̀rù wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí bá ìjọba.
Kábíyèsí Ọlọ́run.
Bàbá wa láti wá àkọ́ṣe sí o. Ibi tí wọ́n ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí àwọn ìjọba mùjẹ̀mùjẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ibi sí wa. Òun la fi ní this time around. Rally yẹn kò wá dínkù. Àwọn òpin ká gbé rally yẹn ká túbọ̀ ṣe ní 2022. 2021 yẹn wọ́n lọ sílé ìkọlù àwọn leaders wa. Olóyè Sunday Igboho.
Ilé olóyè.
Ọdún fẹ̀mí ẹ̀wé wò. Ọlọ́run tó yọ lọ́jọ́. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tún jáde. Àmọ́ sábà bí wọ́n wà àwọn kan tó wá darapọ̀ mọ́ wa ní 2022 àṣẹ ìjàmbá lọ́wọ́ àṣẹ fún wa. Làwa pé ẹ jẹ́ ká ní sùúrù, ẹ jẹ́ ká fojú inú àṣẹ àwọn kan gbà yẹn politicians ló ṣiṣẹ́ fún. Àmọ́ wọ́n sọ pé wọ́n sùn kékeré, wọ́n sọlẹ̀ di òkè. Ìgbà tá a lè ní òkè ká jáde ní 2022 pé kò ní sí election Nàìjíríà lórílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá. Ọwọ́ ń tẹ pápẹ́ sí wa. Àwa wò pé pápẹ́ tọ́ ó tẹ̀síwá ìdá bá kọ́ àwọn ọmọ wa síta àìfàìmọ̀ kọ́ máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pa àwọn ọmọ wa. Làbá ní náà ẹ jẹ́ ká sún sẹ́yìn díẹ̀. Àgbò tó dẹ̀ fà sẹ́yìn kì í ṣe pé ọ̀lẹ ni agbára ló mú wá. Ìgbà tí Tinubu dẹ̀ ti wọ presidency lè bá tábàdíkà jáde immediately wọn ní àwọn pípò yìí wọn fẹ́ bà presidency jẹ́ Yorùbá ló ṣe Yorùbá wọn jẹ́ kó ṣe gbàgbọ́ ṣe jẹ́ kó ṣàrùn. Àwọn á dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tí Tinubu is one person. Yoruba nation is millions of people that contains land and life. Tinubu bàbá parí ẹ̀ jù kò lè lo 200 years nílé ayé yìí. Tó bá tún strong jù ó lo 120. But Yoruba nation will continue to remain forever. So irú legacy wo la fẹ́ wá fi sílẹ̀ fún àwọn ọmọ wa? Ṣé a fẹ́ ti torí ohun tẹ́nìkan fẹ́ jẹ fọ́dún méje káwọn fi jọba dájú ìgbésí ayé millions of people? Àmọ́ a ní ká ní sùúrù ká ọdún kan ti lọ ọdún méjì ti lọ. Nàìjíríà wà rọgbọ wà dẹrùn fún anybody láfi wò pé àwa ò tún lè dúró fún ọdún méje ọdún mẹ́jọ kí àwa máa jẹ àwọn èèyàn wa. Àti rí bí ọdún méjì Tinubu ṣe rí ọdún méjì ẹ̀ tó kù àrùn pé ó lè ṣàǹfààní fún Yorùbá. Wọn ò tiẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ lọ báwo ni Yorùbá ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ bí wọ́n yìí máa ṣe second term lọ wà. Táà bá dẹ̀ pín ẹ̀dí Benue lọ́sẹ̀ tó kọjá mọ́ ọ̀sẹ̀ over 200 people in one night. Iran àti Israel tó ti ń jà gan-an tó ju bọ́ǹbù síra wọn. We know how many people have died. Kámá wa sọ ibi tí within the same nation kí ìjọba lè dákẹ́. Tá a bá rò pé kò tí ì wọnú yàrá wa ó ti ń bá wa sùn. Ikú ó ti ń bá wa sùn. Mo la fi ní ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ká tètè múra ká tètè fẹ́ ọ̀hún wa hàn pé àwa ò ní tiwa o àṣẹ Nàìjíríà mọ́ orílẹ̀-èdè Yorùbá òun la fẹ́.
Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá náà ni à ń gbóhùn ẹ̀ tí ó ń bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ fún àǹfààní yìí tí ẹ bá ń darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ìkànnì wa Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Abala ilé náà ni a máa fi kásẹ̀ ńlẹ̀ nígbà tí a ti sọ̀rọ̀ nípa oríṣiríṣi ní abala tàkọ́kọ́. Eléyìí náà ni láti fi jẹ́ kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá mọ̀ pé self-determination tá à ń jà fún ẹ̀tọ́ wa ni. Deputy Yorùbá Nation Self-Determination Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá òun ló bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ lórí ìkànnì Yorùbá Nation Radio and TV tó ṣe lánàá. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà síbẹ̀ ká tún gbọ́ díẹ̀ nípa tó sọ ká tó máa tẹ̀síwájú.
Ẹ ṣeun bàbá wa Mọ̀lá. Koiki Media ọ̀rọ̀ wọn yẹn ṣeun adúpẹ́ bí wọ́n ṣe ń bá wa ṣíà náà ni wọ́n láìkì náà ń kọ́mẹ̀ntì. Ẹ ṣeun adúpẹ́ ẹ ṣe gan. Bàbá wa Mọ̀lá náà ni wọ́n wà ní orí ètò pẹ̀lú wa. Adeleke Sodiq arọ́wọ́ yín, Thomas Mercy ààrẹ náà, Adébọ́lá Adùnní arọ́wọ́ yín, Táíwò Abdullahi arọ́wọ́ yín, Asimolowo Richard arọ́wọ́ tí náà ẹ bá ṣíà kí wọ́n bá wa láìkì. Bàbá wa Mọ̀lá ẹ jẹ́ kí n béèrè ìbéèrè kan lọ́wọ́ yín kó tó di pàtó tẹ̀síwájú. Báwo ni àwọn òyìnbó ẹ já sọ ìtàn díẹ̀ báwo ni àwọn òyìnbó báwo ni wọ́n ṣe discover Africa gangan kó tó di pé wọ́n wá kó àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́rú?
Ṣe rí ọ̀rọ̀ Áfíríkà yẹn ibi tí tíṣòro wa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ọba ṣe máa bọ́nú ẹ̀.
Ó yá.
So ibi tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ni ó mọ̀ pé Áfíríkà òun ló ní ọrọ̀ ilé ayé. Kò sí nǹkan tó náà fi kẹwàá, especially àwa nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, kò sí nǹkan tó náà fi kẹwàá. Ọlọ́run fi agbami ó fi kẹwàá, ó fi river pé bí agbami ṣe wà yẹn rivers kéékèèké ló ń bọ̀. Ọlọ́run fi kẹwàá, Ọlọ́run fi sámà tó dáa ó fi kẹwàá, ó fi ilẹ̀ tó dáa ó fi kẹwàá, ó fún wa ní mineral resources, ó tún wá fún wa ní human resources. So nǹkan tó lọ́run fi kẹwàá ó pọ̀. Nílẹ̀ Yorùbá nìkan we have over 34 minerals.
Kábíyèsí Ọlọ́run.
Over 34. Tí ilẹ̀ Yorùbá bá dá dúró lè ní, ilẹ̀ Yorùbá will be produced at 500 million barrels of oil in a day. Bitumen ta ni, ètò kábà mine there for the next 500 years, ó yìí máa pọ̀ síbẹ̀.
500 years.
For the next 500 years, gbogbo ọ̀nà tó dá lọ́nà àmàrí nǹkan fi ṣe ọ̀nà wa. The only country tó tún ní bitumen tó pọ̀ jù wá lọ ní Canada. Àwa náà ní in abundance tá a lè fi ṣe ọ̀nà. Èyí tó wá parí ẹ̀jù ní human resources. Kò sí ìlú tó bá ti ní human resources. Ìlú yẹn bí ìgbà tó ní kankan.
Kábíyèsí Ọlọ́run.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá dẹ̀ wo population wa, we are very perfect. We are around 60 million. The population wa ò pọ̀ jù, ò kéré jù. We are big enough to be a world power. We are big enough to be a world power. Àwọn ibi tí a ti wá bẹ̀rẹ̀, ibi tí àwa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, ó bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti 1526. Ọdún tó ń bọ̀ ló máa pé 500 years ṣe ẹrú láti ṣe ẹrú bọ̀. Adé láti kọ́, aláti fọ́ ìgbà yẹn.
Sos bir yer var hele arar.
Nítorí
Artes,
ó pe
sedes,
arákùnrin kan
sabay,
ní Mansamusa.
Sement, Zedek,
Arákùnrin
Asel,
yẹn, he was the
Denek
king
var.
of Mali.
Altereka.
He
Eşi.
was the king of Mali.
Poi buta var mesela. Buta var. Ne çapıyız?
Ó lọ sí Mẹ́kà, ó ní ọdún kan tó lọ sí Mẹ́kà, ó fẹ́ lọ gbàdúrà. Ìgbà tó fẹ́ lọ gbàdúrà ní Mẹ́kà ní around 14th century. Ó wá gba Egypt. Ìgbà tó gba Egypt kọjá, owó tó ń ṣàn lára káàtì ẹ̀ ká àwọn horse cart lọ́ máa ń lò ní àtijọ́. Àwọn gold tó bọ́ lára ẹ̀ ó bankrupt Egypt.
Kábíyèsí Ọlọ́run.
Ó bankrupt Egypt around that 14th century. Ibẹ̀ ni òyìnbó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí fi ojú sí ara wa ní Áfíríkà pé àṣé àwọn kan lówó tó. That same Mansamusa ó ti sponsor over 1,500 boats kó lọ sí Brazil on trade lọ tán trade for. This was before Columbus tó lóun lọ discover America, discover kankan. So 1526 yẹn.
Gbogbo eléyìí ni a ṣe ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé ẹ túbọ̀ ẹ̀ ká máa jáde bí wọ́n ṣe ní ká jáde. Èní ní ọjọ́ 8 tán ní ká jáde. Ẹgbọ́n tí Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá ń sọ, ẹ wo ibi tí a wà lénìí, ká wo ibi tí à ń lọ lọ́la. Tá bá ní ká wo ibi tí a wà lénìí àti ibi tó yẹ ká ti dé, ó jẹ́ kó mú wa ní igbá àyà jù báyìí lọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀lé ìlànà tí wọ́n fi sílẹ̀ kí a lè jọ délẹ̀ lérí. torí pé ìlànà tó fi sílẹ̀ àwọn tó fi sílẹ̀ wọ́n mọ ìdí pàtàkì àti kókó tó ṣe ní ká ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ láti fi bẹ̀rẹ̀. Lára ìlànà náà a máa gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú èyí tí Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá tó ń bá wa sọ lọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sórí ẹ̀ lórí ìkànnì wa náà lẹ́ṣin wà tó ń pè ní Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Mú kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tí ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa the first 2 hours èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì la fi sọ̀rọ̀ nítorí pé ó nídìí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá ní kọ́kọ́ là ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ìkànnì wa international media ní bíbáyìí. A dẹ̀ ti wà níbi tí a gbọ́dọ̀ báwọn èèyàn sọ̀rọ̀ níta torí wọ́n ti fi máa gbọ́n tá à ń sọ nísìnyí pé gbogbo ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ tí a sọ nípa tí a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní 2 hours fáǹfààní àwọn tó gbọ́ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì òun náà ni ìkìlọ̀ fún President Bọ́lá Tinubu lórí ìjàmbá tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú Nàìjíríà pé kò sí nǹkan kan tó lè ṣe ju pé kó pin kólúkálukú máa lọ. Èyí tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Benue bẹ́ẹ̀ bá rò pé ó máa dáwọ́ dúró irọ́ lápá kò ní dáwọ́ dúró. Èyí tó ń bọ̀ ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àìtí mọ̀. Ní Enugu a gbọ́ pé helicopter ló fi ń já àwọn Fúlàní wálẹ̀ tó ń pa àwọn èèyàn, helicopter yẹn ò dẹ̀ tún lọ. Ẹ̀rí dẹ̀ sọ fún wa pé Pakistan wọ́n ń train àwọn Boko Haram nínú Nàìjíríà. Gbogbo eléyìí àti lẹ́tà àti gbogbo ìdí pàtàkì lọ́tún lósì àti bí Iskilu Wakilu tí ó sá lọ nígbà tí àwọn ẹmẹ̀wẹ̀ tó wá jí gbé nínú abolongo títí di bá ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí kò sẹ́ni tó mọ ibi tó wà. Lára wọn náà ni wọ́n wá ṣe jàǹbá ní Ìbàdàn ní Bódìjà nígbà tí bomb blast ṣẹlẹ̀. Gbogbo eléyìí náà ni a ṣàlàyé fáwọn tó wà níta àti àwọn àgbáyé pé kó kìlọ̀ fún Tinubu kó fa ọwọ́ aṣọ ẹ̀ mọ́ etí bí ọmọ Yorùbá kan tó ń jáde lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìn torí pé Tinubu sọ ní Benue State ó ń bi IG pé kí ló dé tẹ̀ tí arrest ẹnìkankan èyí tó arrest lánàá kí ló fi wọ́n ṣe. Má arrest àwọn ọmọ tó wà níta tó ń ṣe Yorùbá nation. Ìkìlọ̀ ni o ẹni tó bá dẹ̀ kìlọ̀ fún tó bá gbọ́ kò ní sí wàhálà. Nígbà táwọn ìlú méjèèjì tó ń kìlọ̀ fúnra wọn tó gbọ́ ìyẹn Iran àti Israel amọ̀bi tó já sí báyìí ẹ kìlọ̀ fún Tinubu o kó má mú àwọn ọmọ tó wà níta tó ń ṣe rálì níwọ̀nba tí wọ́n ṣe rọra ń ṣe. Ìkìlọ̀ ni o òun náà ni gbogbo ń ta sọ lédè òyìnbó ní ráńpẹ́ fáwọn tí wọ́n gbọ́n ta sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sọ́dọ̀ Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá kó tó di pé ètò yìí a máa mú wálẹ̀ lórí ìkànnì wa náà la ṣe wà ní aago 5:30 òun náà ló lù lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí.
Àwọn ìbò ti wá 1400, 1500 yẹn 1526 lọ kó the first set of slaves kúrò nílẹ̀ Áfíríkà. Lọ́yà wọn mi ń rò pé a ti bọ́ lóko ẹrú sì ni wá. Ó kàn yẹ pé ẹrú ti sìn ó yàtọ̀ sí ti àwọn bàbá wa tó ń da chain bọ̀rọ̀ wọn. Wọ́n ṣàkó wọn lẹ́rú, wọ́n kó wọn lẹ́rú up until from that 1526 to 1833 don abolish slave trade depending on different countries. Britain, America and some other countries of our new people. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa padà sílé wa ká lọ máa mójútó ilé wa. Àmọ́ ìgbà tó fẹ́ padà lọ ní Britain bá rí pé French ti fẹ́ colonize gbogbo Africa lọ. Coming from the north, of colonize Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali. Wọ́n ṣàgbá gbogbo ẹ̀ lọ British bá wọ pé àmà tí ì lọ ẹ jẹ́ ká padà ní British fi ṣàpadà. Wọ́n á lè bá French jà látòkè, wọ́n á bá French jà láti sàlẹ̀, wọ́n fi wá gba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá lẹ́ẹ̀kọ́. Torí àwọn ọtí kó à ń ta ẹrú fún wọn ẹ̀wọ̀n tí kó wa lẹ́rú nígbà yẹn. Torí àwọn èèyàn rò pé colonization is not slavery, it is slavery. Wọ́n kó wa lẹ́rú, so eléyìí kì í ṣe pé wọ́n kó wa ká lọ sílẹ̀ wọn lọ develop ẹ̀ àwa ṣiṣẹ́ nílẹ̀ wa gbogbo àdúgbò tó wá wà ń bẹ̀ ọwọ́ kó wá sílẹ̀ wọn tó ń lò wá. So ìgbà tó yá àwọn fúnra wọn ọlọ́run ló tún rán world war sí wọn ọjà first war ọjà second one lẹ́yìn second world war yẹn lọ́ba ni ó tú wa sílẹ̀ títú tó tú wa sílẹ̀ yẹn wọn ò tú wa sílẹ̀ pé ká lè di èèyàn ká ní òmìnira ara wa tú wa sílẹ̀ pé gbogbo nǹkan tá a bá fẹ́ ṣe o aláti padà wá gba àṣẹ lọ́wọ́ wọn. lọ́dọ̀ àwọn ìyẹn wá túmọ̀ sí pé ẹ lè ṣàǹfààní fúnra yín láì yọwọ́ wọn bẹ̀ tó àwa ò lè ṣe àǹfààní fúnra tí ò ṣe pé àwa máa ṣe àǹfààní àǹfààní wa àtọwọ́ wọn ló ti máa wá òun la fẹ́ kọ̀ so àbí bí Nàìjíríà ṣe wọ́n ṣe dá bíboríbo àwọn àdìgbé àwọn àrò pé slavery ti tán bẹ́ẹ̀ ní ìsìn àwa ń san owó to become slave again. Ẹ mọ̀ pé tẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn àwọn kó wa ní lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lófo tá a sanwó tó ń kó wa ká lọ tún lù wọ́n ṣe ká tọ́jú ilé wọn ká tọ́jú ọ̀nà wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ní ìsìn àwa la tún san owó láti wá di ẹrú. Àwa rò pé tí ilẹ̀ Áfíríkà yẹn ò bá dá lọ́ọ̀la o tó jẹ́ pé àwa là ń ṣe ìjọba wọn tí a ní kí ẹ̀ wá lọ gba àyè lọ́wọ́ wọn a lè bọ́ ọ̀làdé ní Nàìjíríà kan ló máa gbé wa àwa fúnra wa la máa gbé Nàìjíríà torí tó bá gbé wa wọn fi wá sílẹ̀ o wọ́n yìí máa dè wá tìbí tó dé wa òun la ṣe ní ta ló máa gba ara ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ àwa fúnra wa la máa gba ara wa sílẹ̀ kì í ṣe àwọn ló máa gbà wá sílẹ̀ o òun la fi ní bí a dìde ká túyáyá ká túyáyá ká jáde ká fẹ́ ọ̀hún wa cherry Arab Spring tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ 2011 ní Tunisia tẹ́yìn kọ́kọ́ ta petrol sí ara ẹ̀ kó gbé yọ kọ́kọ́ sí ó kà ó pé ilé ayé yóò ṣe kí ni pé dá iná tí ra ẹ̀ lára nìyẹn bí Arab Spring ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. A rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ náà àwọn heads of state yẹn tó ní wọn ní ẹ̀fà kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀. Èmi ìbá lọ níbo Sudan Bashar al-Assad Omar Bashir former president of Sudan kò sí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa rò pé máa ní ọ̀ ní ẹ̀fà kúrò bẹ́ẹ̀ inú ẹ̀wọ̀n ló wà sí o inú ẹ̀wọ̀n ló wà sí so. Òun la fi ní àwa Yorùbá àwa la láti ìfúnra wa torí kò sí ìdábà láfẹnọba Amẹ́ríkà kó wá gbà wá sílẹ̀ àtọ̀ra wa o dábàdẹ̀ ní afẹnọba ìlú kọ̀ọ̀kan wá gbà wá sílẹ̀ bí ìgbà tá a tún sọ pé òkè o a fẹ́ kúrò lọ́rùn alágbára kan ẹ̀dá tó fẹ́ tira wa sí ọ̀rọ̀ alágbára mi. Àmọ́ collectively together we have power. Tí gbogbo wa bá dìde, kò sí fọ́ọ̀sì náà nílé ayé tó lè stop wa. Àwọn la fi ní. Báyìí yóò gbogbo wa la láti dìde o. Gbogbo wa la láti dìde. Àwọn bàbá wa níjọ́sí kí bàbá wa tọ́ba Fẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀. Ẹ mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn wa ló ṣe protest ní 1949. Wọn ò ní sọ gbogbo yẹn o. Bẹ́ẹ̀ àwọn èèyàn wa jáde. Àwọn èèyàn wa jáde ní 1949. Ọmọ lọ fi gbà wá sílẹ̀ o. Ìgbà tó òyìnbó gbé dáàbà tètè fún àwọn pípọ̀ yìí ní something. Wọ́n fi fún wa ní self-rule. Wọ́n fún wa ní full independence. Wọ́n fún wa ní self-rule. But ní ìsìn a máa bọ́ o. A máa bọ́. A máa bọ́. Rálì tá a dẹ̀ pé a ní ká kò yé àwọn èèyàn.
Ẹ bá a ṣàlàyé ọ̀rọ̀ rálì dáadáa fáwọn èèyàn.
Now, mo fẹ́ ká farabalẹ̀ ká gbọ́ bíbá dáadáa fáǹfààní àwọn tí wọ́n ń béèrè pé bí rálì ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ kí ló dé tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí àti pé kí ni àwọn ìdí tí bàbá ṣe ní kó ṣe rálì yìí bó ṣe ń ṣe yìí. Gbogbo yìí náà ni àwa ti ṣàlàyé tẹ́lẹ̀. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ṣe wà lórí ìjókòó lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí o. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ kí a tètè rí orílẹ̀-èdè ilẹ̀ Yorùbá gbà láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà kí a lè jọ nísinmi. Mo láyọ̀ láti sọ fún wa pé láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà a máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní àwòrán tó máa jáde lórí TikTok wa, lórí ìkànnì wa Koiki Media. Ẹni tó bá ti tẹ̀lé wa lórí TikTok ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa lórí ẹ̀ torí pé iṣẹ́ ti débẹ̀ níbi tí a bá ṣẹ́ dé lórí TikTok wa tá à ń pè ní Koiki Media. Live ó máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ lórí ẹ̀ láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà nítorí pé approval ti wá fún wa láti máa ṣe live lórí ẹ̀ fáǹfààní àwọn tí ó jẹ́ pé ibẹ̀ ni àwọn tí máa ń wo gbogbo nǹkan tó ń lọ lórí orí social media. Let me leave it like that. So TikTok on Koiki Media. Just one phrase, Koiki Media. Ẹ rí picture mi àti olóyè Ìgbòho lórí ẹ̀. Ẹ lọ follow wa lórí ẹ̀ kí ẹ lè máa jàǹfààní. I believe we have just about 25 minutes to start with lórí ẹ̀. At least ìyẹn á sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ nǹkan kan. Díẹ̀díẹ̀ I go further. Mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí i. Káyọ̀dé mọ̀ la fi bá wa sọ bí rálì yẹn bó ṣe ní kó bẹ̀rẹ̀ níbi tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ àti pé níbo ló ń lọ. Gbogbo ilé náà ni à ń gbéyẹ̀wò lórí abala kejì broadcast wa. Nígbà tó bá máa fi pé 3 hours to the dot broadcast yẹn máa wálẹ̀. The first 2 hours was a presentation tá a ṣe ní èdè Gẹ̀ẹ́sì. Ó nídìí torí pé bí ṣe sọ international platform tó engage other media platform. Nígbà tásìkò bá tó gbogbo àwọn fídíò tá a ṣe ní English wá rí lò nígbà tí a bá fẹ́ lò fún evidence. Eléyìí tá à ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ nísìn òun ni tèdè Yorùbá nígbà tí Káyọ̀dé mọ̀lá tó sọ̀rọ̀ lánàá lórí Yorùbá Nation Radio TV lórí ìkànnì tó ń gbé ohùn jáde nípa rally. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lórí ìjókòó. Ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sórí broadcast yẹn.
Rally dàgbé a ní kí àwọn èèyàn ní àdúgbò wọn ní ìletò wọn ní ilé wọn ẹni tó bá ní òun jáde òun lọ síbi iṣẹ́ ó yìí lè lọ bí iṣẹ́. Àwa bá àwọn tó ń ṣe gbogbo wọ́n jọ máa ṣe lọ ni. Wọ́n jọ máa ṣe lọ ni. So wọ́n á dẹ̀ máa ṣe díẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. We have over 50 million. Táwọn èèyàn wá, people are innovative. People will do it the way they understand it. Before you know it, ẹlẹ́yìn máa ní òun fẹ́ kí tiẹ̀ ó ga ju tiẹ̀ lọ. Òun yà ní kó fẹ́ kí tiẹ̀ ṣe kínní. Before you know it, it will become innovative. And then people would build it and build the momentum. Inú ẹ̀ ló ti máa wá bí mega rally. Inú ẹ̀ láti máa wá bí mega rally. Tí ó máa wá gbaná tí gbogbo àgbáyé rí pé náà gbogbo Yorùbá ló fẹ́. Àmọ́ ọlá ẹbí pé gbogbo rally tá a ti máa ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀. Ọlá bí pé gbogbo rally tá a máa ń ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀. A máa ń pe ó yá gbogbo yẹn máa bọ̀ níbàdàn olúkálùkù àwa múra wá gbéra. Àwọn òpin tá a bá ní ká ṣe irú ìyẹn. Púpọ̀ náà tó bá wá lọ́jọ́ ẹ̀ wọ́n fẹ́ padà sílé. Gbogbo ló fẹ́ padà sí. Àdẹ̀ní àfẹ́ ṣe irú ẹ̀ tá a máa ṣe lọ́jọ́ kan tó máa wá tán síbẹ̀. We want it to continue. To continue. Tàbí ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ díẹ̀. Kó wá dé ibi tí bàbá ọmọ wa ti gbé. Lóòótọ́ gbogbo àwọn Yorùbá wọn ló ti ṣetán. Gbogbo ilé ló ti gbọ́. Kò ní bí pé àwọn kan lọ́pàá kóra wọn sí àdúgbò kan náà pa ní wọn ní òkú. Sọ bó ṣe rí nìyẹn o.
Ẹ ṣeun, comrade Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá. Látìgbà tí protest bí rally tó ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ òní ló pé ọjọ́ méje tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ báyìí. Ǹjẹ́ a ní àṣeyọrí láti àwọn gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ń lọ́dọ̀ ìgbà níbí yìí o wọ́n ṣe báyìí o wọ́n ṣe dáadáa Ọlọ́run wọ́n ṣe báyìí wọ́n ṣe dáadáa o. Ǹjẹ́ àṣeyọrí ìjà kọ́lé àṣeyọrí wà láti ọjọ́ méje sẹ́yìn? À ń gbọ́ yín dáadáa.
Ṣé rí àṣeyọrí ó ní bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bàbá ṣe ká àṣeyọrí. Ṣé rí ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ náà àwọn èèyàn wa lóye. Àwọn tó dẹ̀ yé yẹn gbogbo wọn ló ń ṣe bó ṣe yé wọn. Sí. Àmọ́ púpọ̀ náà àwọn èèyàn wa ni kò yí àwọn yẹn ká tó wá tó ṣàlàyé fún wọn. Ló ti yé yín.
Ẹ ṣàlàyé.
Pé kò dìgbà pé ó yá ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lẹ́kìtì ẹ máa bọ̀ lóòdó ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lóòdó ẹ máa bọ̀ lọ́yọ̀ọ́ àdúgbò yìí ni kẹ́ẹ̀ ti máa ṣe kẹ́ẹ̀ máa ṣe kó máa kọ̀ntínú. Bí Ọ̀yọ́ bá gbé tí Èkìtì tún gbé lọ́la tí Ìbàdàn tún gbé lọ́túnla tí Èkó gbé a máa rí pé kíní yìí ó dàbẹ́ ni pé nǹkan kan ṣẹlẹ̀ o. Àmọ́ kò tètè yí àwọn èèyàn wa. Tó bí àlàyé ni ò tó bẹ̀tẹ̀ nínú àwọn fídíò tá a ti rí ó yé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀. Wọ́n lè ṣe bá ṣe sọ. And if you count that and it's a it's a success. Now, tẹ́lẹ̀ rálì tá a máa ṣe ìjọba wa ọjà wọn á máa pa àwọn èèyàn wa. Wọ́n pólísì wọn á máa pa àwọn èèyàn wa. Àmọ́ eléyìí àmọ́ gbọ́ pé wọ́n pa anybody. Ẹ bá tún wọ kejì àmọ́ gbọ́ pé wọ́n ti anybody mọ́lé. So if you count that, it's a success on its own. Nítorí ìgbà tí a bá máa wá jáde lẹ́ẹ̀kan náà, àwọn náà á rí pé no àwọn tí àwọn Yorùbá yìí yàtọ̀. So yes, in terms of success, we can say yes. We've got some few success. Ó lè máa tó nǹkan tá a fẹ́. Ẹ̀yin ò ní we didn't do well. They make a success of it.
Adúpẹ́. Ẹ ṣeun bàbá wa comrade Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá. Àwọn náà ní àlejò mi lórí ètò ní òní tí wọ́n ti ń bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ nípa Yorùbá Nation Mega Rally. Alàgbà Daniel Adékejì Arówóyìn, Olúwaṣẹ́gun Ọ̀kẹ́ Arówóyìn, Moruf Aliu Arówóyìn, Ìdòwú Matthew Arówóyìn, Akeem Ọlálẹ́yẹ Arówótìyìn, Adélékè Sodiq Arówótìyìn náà, Arípè Media, Àrí Thomas Mercy àti àwọn ẹlòmíì. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n mú eléyìí báyìí bàbá wa. Àwọn nǹkan kan ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Benue State tí ìròyìn yẹn tó ká ilé tó ká oko. Kódà àwa náà ní fọ́nrán ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ àlù lánàá. Débi wípé àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ọbẹ̀ àti àwọn kan wọ́n jáde. Nígbà tí wọ́n jáde ó di pé àwọn ọlọ́pàá wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní yìnbọn mọ́ wọn. Wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní yí tí àga sí mọ́ wọn. Kí ni ìjẹ́wé lẹ́yìn òní padà ṣẹlẹ̀ tí Mega Rally Yorùbá Nation tó bá dé? Ṣé kò ní ṣẹlẹ̀?
Ṣé rí òun láti ní àwọn mùjẹ̀mùjẹ̀ Nàìjíríà? Ó yẹ kó ṣẹlẹ̀. Ó tẹ̀lé tó ìtàn mi pé kò ní ṣẹlẹ̀. Àmọ́ àwọn ọlọ́pàá Nàìjíríà àmọ́ kó tó sọ fún wọn. Wọ́n ní kó máa pààyàn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ lè ní kó máa pààyàn. Ọ̀kan yìnbọn àbí kó máa yìnbọn. Èmi kọ́ ni mò ń fún wọn ní ọ̀dà. So mi ò ní sọ kó tó máa ṣe. Ẹlòmíì àwọn náà máa dáwọ́ dúró pé ilẹ̀ fẹ́ tó bá yìnbọn fún wa tá a bá ti kú ìbọn ti tọ́ nìyẹn ìgbà tó bá yìnbọn náà àwọn ogun ti jà wá rí àwọn ogun tó ti jà wá kò pé wa lọ ogun jà wá ní 2001 nílẹ̀ ìlàjẹ àti ìjọ cover 6 states ní Nàìjíríà ìlàjẹ local government ọ̀pẹ ìlọ́dí. ẹ mọ̀ pé at the end of the day ìlàjẹ ló borí local government kan péré ìlàjẹ ló borí. So when you go out like that, it doesn't mean that the people who have more resources or more power will win you. Ẹni tó bá ní good tactics and strategy ló máa borí.
Ẹ ṣeun adúpẹ́. Yonka Global Mission, Global Media, àríyìn o, Yonka Global Media, Olúwaṣẹ́gun Ọ̀kẹ́, àríyìn àríọwọ́ yín, ẹ ṣeun adúpẹ́, nógo ibà. Kó tó di pé mo ní pé ká fi yín lẹ̀kẹ́ máa lọ bàbá wa Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá. Àwọn èmi ò báyìí ṣe, èmi ò bẹ́lẹ̀ ṣe, ó sì wà láàárín àwọn Yorùbá nation. Kí ni nǹkan tẹ̀ ń ṣe lé lórí gẹ́gẹ́ bí adarí? Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn kan òun náà ni à ń gbọ́ tí wọ́n ń sọ òrùn pé àwọn ò bá àwọn ilé iṣẹ́ o, àwọn báyìí là ń fẹ́ bá ṣe o. Èmi bọ́ọ̀lù èmi àpólò ó sì wà láàárín àwọn ajìjàgbara Yorùbá nation. Ọgbọ́n ò lè dá kí nìkan tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe láti jẹ́ kí ìṣọ̀kan kó wà láàárín gbogbo wọn.
Ẹgbẹ́ la máa bẹ̀ wọ́n ẹni tó lóò bá lè ṣe tó lóò bá ti fi ká ló fẹ́ bá ṣe. If the mission is one, base mission ni a fẹ́ gbà. Wọ́n á máa mọ̀ pé ẹnìkan ló fi ayé ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ bàbá wa Bánjí Akíntóyè. Yorùbá nation tó dandan àgbà.
Láṣẹ ìdùnnú rẹ̀.
So ẹni tó bá mọ̀ pé yes ó ṣe tán láti ṣe ti bàbá wa Professor Bánjí Akíntóyè. Kò ní ìgbà tí máa sọ pé òun ṣe bá òun òṣìṣàwọ̀ òun á bá ẹni bí ṣe òun ò bá ẹni bí jẹ. Tá a bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn a ní débi tá a lọ. Gbogbo wa láti jọ ṣiṣẹ́ pọ̀. Gbogbo wa láti lè come together and work as one. Tá a bá ṣe ẹni báyìí ni màá bá ṣe. Báyìí ni mi ò ní bá ṣe. A jẹ́ pé onítọ̀hún tààrà ẹnìkan ló wá ṣe iṣẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Àwọn irú ẹgbẹ́ yẹn, àwọn tó ń darí ẹgbẹ́ yẹn, táwọn lẹ́yìn wọn kún fún wa sí wọn.
Ẹ ṣe bàbá wa. Yorùbá nation rédíò ti fi hàn láwà àti dábẹ́ẹ̀dọ̀ tààrọ̀ yóò wí.
Tó òun náà ni èmi àti láti ń gbọ́ láti ìgbà díẹ̀ lórí ìkànnì wa Koiki Media bó ṣe lọ lórí Yorùbá Nation Radio and TV lánàá. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ brother wa Agbókìkí tí wọ́n host program yẹn lánàá. Bẹ́ẹ̀ la kí bàbá wa Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá tí wọ́n darapọ̀ mọ́ platform náà. Ibi tí àwa náà máa fẹ́ máa mú ètò yẹn wá sílẹ̀ lálẹ́ yìí, mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí láti ọkùnrin obìnrin ọmọdé àgbàlagbà tí ẹ darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Bí a ti ṣe sọ orí TikTok wa a máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí wà lórí ẹ̀ àti try lálẹ́ yìí lóru èní. Èyí tí ẹ bá láǹfààní àti rí wò ẹ jẹ́ ká mọ̀ nínú comment section. The live has already gone in the TikTok as I speak to you right now ní aago 5 aago 6 fẹ́ lọ lò is 5:46 a.m. Láti iléeṣẹ́ wa ní Koiki Media níbi command center wa náà ni a ti ń gbé gbogbo ìròyìn wá, ìròyìn ayọ̀ pé a ṣì wà lórí ìrìn àjò yìí. Ẹ má jẹ́ kó sú wa, ẹ má jẹ́ kó rẹ̀ wá, kò gbọ́dọ̀ rẹ́ odò wa torí pé kí ni ibi tá à ń lọ kò jìnnà mọ́. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ti rí nísìn pé èyí tí a ti ń sọ̀bọ̀ pẹ̀lú bàbá wa àtàwọn tí a jọ ń darí ẹ̀ pé Nigeria is a failed state. Kí ló ń pè ní failed state? Ìlú tí terrorist bá ti ń pààyàn, ìlú tí government ò bá lè control border. The border is completely now under imminent attack, and kò sí nǹkan tí Bọ́lá Ahmed Tinubu tó lè ṣe. Ó dà ń pé torí a ti ń lo kámẹ́rà wa lórí TikTok, so ìdí tí ó ṣe freeze gbogbo ẹ̀ la máa adjust, gbogbo ẹ̀ máa wà lójú kan nígbà tá a bá máa fi wá ní pẹ̀sẹ̀pẹ̀sẹ̀ again. Okay, I think the camera is back. Okay, but like I said, as I speak to you right now, we are currently also on the TikTok, so that is good. Orúkọ mi náà kò tí ì yí padà. Ẹ ṣé gan ní gbogbo èyí tí ẹ darapọ̀. Ẹ má bínú pé mo ní lè máa dárúkọ gbogbo wa torí pé ọjọ́ ti lọ rẹpẹtẹ, but mo dúpẹ́ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtìlẹ́yìn yín lórí iléeṣẹ́ wa tí à ń pè ní Koiki Media fún akitiyan yín látara pé ibi tí a fẹ́ lọ òun náà la ṣe wà lórí ìrìn àjò náà. Tó bá tún máa dijọ́ míì, a tún máa wo ibi tí a tún máa bára wa sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí, àmọ́ èyí tí wọ́n ní ká sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí náà ni pé self determination tí à ń bá lọ kò gbọ́dọ̀ sú wa o, kò gbọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ wá, torí pé Nigeria itself cannot withhold or withheld what is coming. In tó ń bọ̀, apá Nàìjíríà gan kò ní lè gbé, so ó bẹ́tà káwa tètè sá lọ. Bí brother mi Káyọ̀dé Mọ̀lá ṣe sọ, the quicker we run away from Nigeria, the better, and in the interest, so that kí a lè ní better future. Kò sí future kankan tí ẹ fẹ́ mú mọ́ nínú Nigeria, whether you are old, whether you are young, whether you are still in the university, you left university, all those future died long time ago, and that is how far we will progress from here this morning. Like I said, we have run just a very small test on the TikTok, and we hope to monitor that tomorrow again. And on that special, I will say thank you so much. Koiki Media is one out of the many Yoruba Nation media that is promoting, educating, and preparing us for a future Yoruba government. Ma doubt it.
Because aṣọ ìgbàlódé ẹ̀yin bóbi rẹ̀ yí dáàdì mi. Ẹ wo wíìgì tẹ́ wo lórí mi.
I say thank
you so much. Ibi tí bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe fẹ́ sí ni owó rẹ̀. Àwọn tó di dáadáa jẹ́lé lọ́wọ́ o. Àwọn tó ṣe kíni tó di dáadáa jẹ́lé lọ ẹ wò ó fù. Àwọn tó fù dáadáa jù lọ ó wà available. Bákan náà ni mo dẹ̀ tún wá ní àwọn new arrival wíìgì. Àwọn new wíìgì ti dé. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ìkéde pàtàkì. Dáàdì kan san owó fún mi. Wọ́n san owó fún mi. Owó àgbo $100. Dáàdì ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí tọ lọ́run. Tẹ́ bá wà bí tẹ́ bá ní wo program yìí, mo ti pariwo láti bí oṣù kan. Àtìgbà tó ti gbé WhatsApp mi lọ ni mo ti ń pariwo ní gbogbo ìgbà pé dáàdì ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ pè mí. $100 yín wà lọ́wọ́ mi. Mo ti rí $100 tẹ̀sán. Dáàdì tí wọ́n fẹ́ ra àgbo jẹ̀dí àti manpower. Dáàdì mi ẹ jọ̀ọ́ torí t'Ọlọ́run, mo ti rí owó yín o. Ẹ ní dààmú láyé yín o. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ pè mí ní nọ́mbà yín lọ́wọ́ mọ́ kí n lè bá yín sẹ́ndì àgbo jẹ̀dí àti manpower yín. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo fẹ́ l'Ẹ̀dùmarè bẹ̀ yín. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ojú òní tì yín o. Ẹ ní ṣìṣe láyé yín, ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ pè mí o. Mo fọba àwọn ọba bẹ̀ yín o. Ẹ wo wíìgì yìí. Ẹ jẹ́ ṣe dáadáa. Mo ń bọ̀. Mi ì tí dé dáadáa. Yes, ẹ wo ṣátìrí. Ó fù dáadáa. Mi ì tí ṣe dáadáa náà. Ẹ lè fi ike, ẹ lè fi wé èèyàn gangan. Òun lélẹ̀. Mo kàn fẹ́ kẹ́ rí design ẹ̀ ni. Very beautiful. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin mọ́mì mi tẹ́ bá need àwọn short wig tí wọn ò gùn, mo ti ní wọn. Ní ọjà ti dé. Ẹ wo wíìgì lẹ wò. Gbogbo bí bye wá sí gbogbo bí wíìgì ló kún bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ sẹ́ẹ̀tì kámẹ́rà síbẹ̀ kẹ́rí. Ṣé ti rí wíìgì lẹ wò yẹn? Mo sọ fún yín wípé ọjà ti dé. ọjà ti dé méjì lọ́jà wá dénú ọ̀sẹ̀ yìí ẹ wò ṣé ti rí wíìgì ní gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ń wò ń bí báyìí àwọn bírèdì wà woman hair wà àwọn pick and drop báyìí wà àwọn ní coils ó wà àwọn bun straight ó wà bun short ó wà gbogbo ẹ̀ ni mo ní afro mo ní wọn lóríṣiríṣi I have different type of wig gbogbo èyí tẹ́ like long wig tó jẹ́ short wọ̀ lẹ́fẹ́ ó wà tó bá dé jáwọ́ long wig bí irú àwọn tí mo lò yìí ni ẹ wò ohun nìyí ṣe máa rí dáadáa báyìí ok ẹ jẹ́ ìdìde sókè ẹ wò ṣe ti rí bó ṣe long ṣe ti rí bó ṣe gùn dáadáa tó mú yes ṣe ti rí ohun ní ẹ bá rí dáadáa báyìí òun náà ṣe kí ni òun náà wà tó bá jẹ́ irú tí mo lò ilé ẹ̀fẹ́ ó wà tẹ́ bá tún wá fẹ́ irú style tó bá jẹ́ another style tó jẹ́ Ghana weaving tó bá jẹ́ back tó bá jẹ́ 2 step gbogbo ẹ̀ ni mo ti ní gbogbo ẹ̀ ló kún bí báyìí tẹ́ bá pè mí a jọ ṣe video call máa fi àwọn wíìgì yẹn máa fi wọ́n hàn yín lóríṣiríṣi tó wà ọjà ti wà gbogbo ẹ̀yin mọ́mì mi tẹ́tira wig tẹ́tún ní àlédíkè táwọn ànọ́dá wọn ọba tuntun ti dé tó yàtọ̀ sáwọn tẹ́tira mo fi àsìkò sọ fún yín wípé àwọn ànọ́dá wọn tuntun ti dé tó yàtọ̀ sí àwọn ìtẹ́tira gbogbo ẹ̀yin mọ́mì mi tẹ́tira méjì mẹ́ta tẹ́ni tí bá tuntun ti ní ọjà kí n jẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ àwọn ànọ́dá design mo fi àsìkò sọ fún yín pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ pè mí mo fẹ́ lẹ́dùnmarè bẹ̀yìn àwọn new design ti wà ní new ones tó yàtọ̀ sí àwọn tẹ́tira tẹ́lẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ti ṣe kíni ló ti wà àwọn fine wig ti wà o mélòó la fẹ́ tú mélòó la fẹ́ kà ó pọ̀ lóríṣiríṣi mi ò dẹ̀ wọ́n mọ́jà mi ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mo fọlọ́n bẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wo program ẹ bá mi share ètò mi ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mi ò ní contact àwọn èèyàn mọ́ tí mo lè share program fún mi ò ní contact àwọn èèyàn mọ́ ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ó ní àwọn tí mo tún fẹ́ fi wọn wá mi fẹ́ ṣòwò ní ọjà lọ títí torí mi fẹ́ kí program yìí gùn gan. wíìgì ló kún gbogbo bíbá ìtẹ́ wò yìí wíìgì ló kún bí àtòkè àwọn woman hair ló wà lókè báyìí àwọn káàpù náà dẹ̀ wà ẹ wo wíìgì yìí èmi gan kó wíìgì jẹ lọ́tọ̀ next ọjà báyìí mi náà máa ní tèmi ẹ wo wíìgì yìí ẹ wo ṣáyé pé lè tún yàtọ̀ sí onísúnsún tata lọ máa fọ onísúnsún yẹn náà onísúnsún yẹn náà ó tún ti wà again because àwọn èèyàn like ẹ̀ gan a lot of people rà ṣẹtirẹ́lẹ̀ iná bó ṣe fine ẹ rí bó ṣe fine so tí bá sọ fún yín pé ọjà tuntun ti dé lóríṣiríṣi mi ò níru eléyìí tẹ́lẹ̀ mo ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ níru eléyìí ni èyí tí mo kọ́kọ́ fi wọ̀nyí yẹn náà méjì ẹ̀ ni mo ní nígbà tí mo kọ́kọ́ ra wíìgì wọlé pápápá ni àwọn màámi alálùbáríkà kan bá mi rà ìjọ kan ṣoṣo lọ́ra méjèèjì tó níṣẹ́ ó ti pọ̀ ó ti yapa bẹ́ẹ̀ fẹ́ 5 ẹ̀ máa rí. so ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ wá bá mi rajà o mo fẹ́ fi oní ṣùkú lélẹ̀ ẹ̀yin grandma mi ẹ̀yin grandma alálùbáríkà tọ́lọ́wọ́ túbọ̀ ti bá mi lọ́ra ẹ̀mí yín òun ní ṣùkú bámbám ẹni tó bá wú kó bẹ́ òun ní ṣùkú rèé ṣùkú ní short one kò ṣe gúngùn tó bá lè jẹ́ gúngùn lẹ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ó wà ẹ̀ṣẹ́ tírí ṣùkú ní tó mú yes ẹjọ́ á bá mi rajà mo fẹ́ lẹ́dùnmá ibẹ̀ àwọn jewelries mi náà tuntun ti dé new jewelries gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ti dé mi nílé fi gbogbo ẹ̀ hàn wá kí program yìí má bàa gùn jù ẹjọ́ ẹ bá mi share ètò àwọn woman hair àwọn yẹn làwọn eléyìí báyìí àwọn woman hair ní màkàn máa fi wọ́n wá fírífírí ni kí program yẹn má gùn jù ṣẹ́ tírí àwọn woman hair lélẹ̀ irú eléyìí tí mo fi wọ̀nyí ìsèmí náà ní mo ní ohun mo lò tó wà lórí WhatsApp number mi àwọn woman hair ní lóríṣiríṣi gbogbo ẹ̀ ló kún bíbá ẹjọ́ ẹ pè mí ẹ wá ra wíìgì ẹ wá ra aṣọ ẹ wá ra jewelries àwọn set of jewelries ẹ wò àwọn ní coins ní mi fẹ́ kó scatter tó bá scatter sí màá ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ìyá màá ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dress ẹ̀ padà ni mi fẹ́ kó dàbẹ̀ so ìtẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ ẹjọ́ ẹ pè mí tó bá yẹ pé àwọn pick and drop long one náà ni gbogbo ẹ̀ ló wà kò sí wíìgì tẹ́ fẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ mi tẹ́ ní rí black eléyìí náà wà ẹ wò pick and drop òun ni ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ pick pick and drop braid big braid loose braid ńláńlá ó wà tẹ́ bá dẹ̀ tún wá fẹ́ tí ò tóbi tó lè tó jẹ́ braid náà ó tún wà gbogbo ẹ̀ ni mo ní bí ẹjọ́ patronize mi ojú òní tí ẹ ní má mú bọ́ o ẹ ní má mú bọ́ o èkúta oníwọ́nú gbá yí o lẹ́yìn yẹn gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ra product iléeṣẹ́ TL Natural Herbal àgbo jẹ̀díjẹ̀dí tó wà òkè dáadáa àti àgbo diabetes gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá ní diabetes oògùn tẹ́ lè lò láti fi cure diabetes ajẹ́bí idán tó confam ó wà ní bíbá tó mú yes tẹ́ bá fẹ́ rà lọ́wọ́ wọn direct máa fún yín nọ́mbà wọn tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ Canada bílẹ̀ ti fẹ́ rà látọ̀dọ̀ mi ó wà available lọ́dọ̀ mi náà bíbá yìí bákan náà oògùn manpower fún ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ṣe kíni tẹ́ fẹ́ pakuru mọ́kẹ́dó dáadáa gbogbo ẹ̀yin dáńdì mi tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe kíni tẹ́ fẹ́ wọ Jerusalem òun nìyí manpower lélẹ̀ confam ni kò sí country tí mi ò lè bá yín send sí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ máa ń tètè release gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ kì í tètè gbéra àbí tẹ́ máa ń gbéra tẹ́ máa tètè padà sílẹ̀ ń tẹ́ nídà tí lò lélẹ̀ kò kọ age 80 years ẹ lò kí 80 years lò kẹ́ wá gbá bọ́ọ̀lù bí ọmọ 30 years confam ni jẹ̀díjẹ̀dí lélẹ̀ gbogbo jẹ̀dí tó wà nínú àgọ́ ara yín yẹn kẹ́ yá dànù òun ní diabetes lélẹ̀ ìkọ́nù àwọn ti diabetes láìlọ́nà ẹ̀ ti bẹ́ lélẹ̀ òun ní ti diabetes lélẹ̀ confam wọn ni so èyí tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ ẹ pè mí kí bá yín send ẹ̀ náà ẹ wá jẹ́ ká padà sórí spiritual items fáǹfààní gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá need àwọn spiritual something tẹ́ lè lò àwọn nǹkan spiritual wà lóríṣiríṣi níbí báyìí àwọn lọ́fíńdà back to sender wà àwọn omi curse breaker tẹ́lẹ̀ máa fi sí omi ìwẹ̀ yín ó wà òun ní ẹ máa mix ẹ̀ mọ́ omi ìwẹ̀ yín ni ẹ máa fi wẹ̀ gbogbo ègún burúkú àmì burúkú ọwọ́ burúkú àwọn nǹkan tẹ́lẹ̀ fi wẹ̀ dànù gbogbo àwọn nǹkan awẹ́ bí wẹ̀ èpè wẹ̀ ègún gbogbo ẹ̀ wà available níbí báyìí àwọn iṣẹ́ lóríṣiríṣi mi ò ní mention gbogbo ẹ̀ tán tó bá jẹ́ àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè lò fún ẹ̀bẹ̀ àwọn àgbà ni either yín take note wípé àwọn èèyàn wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ burúkú kan sí yín àbí things is not going well àbẹ́ ẹ̀rí àwọn sign burúkú tí ò dáa àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè lò láti fi ṣẹ́gun ẹ̀ tá fi ètò àdúrà ṣe ó wà ń bíbà ajẹ́bí idán tó confam ajẹ́bí idán tó mú yes òun mo ṣe ní bóyá àwọn òṣèré Nàìjíríà náà nídìí wègúnwèpè àti Tinubu mo ti jókòó léwu mi so ó wà ń bíbá bákan náà àwọn nǹkan aṣínà ọ̀la gbogbo ọ̀nà tó bá dí tó lè fi là gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ̀ retí nǹkan kan tàbí méjì tí ẹ̀ gẹ̀ẹ́tì ẹ̀ àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè lò láti fi rí gbà ó wà available àwọn nǹkan àdúrà ni o àwọn nǹkan àdúrà ni iṣẹ́ wà ń bíbá lóríṣiríṣi ẹ̀yin mọ́mì tẹ́ jẹ́ wípé àwọn dádì maybe ìjà àbákan ẹ wojú ọkọ àbọ́kọ ti fẹ́ kọ̀ yín àbáwọn tó gùdù jù yín lọ ti fẹ́ gba ọkọ yín ṣẹ́rí ọkọ wọn lóde òun ló jẹ́ kọ́pọ̀ lọ gbé títí ẹ̀ pọ̀ mi ò ní ẹ bá tí wọ́n jẹ́ mi ìtẹ́ ní nǹkan tẹ́ lè fi bá tí wọ́n jẹ́ mi ní nǹkan tẹ́ lè fi sọ wọ́n di dìdìrìn ṣùgbọ́n mo ní nǹkan tí ẹ lè lò tí Sátánì òfin ní yà yín tí Sátánì òfin ní yà yín so gba àwọn nǹkan lóríṣiríṣi ló wà tí èèyàn lè lò ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ẹ retí so many things iṣẹ́ mi ò ní ìdàtí ka gbogbo ẹ̀ lórí social media but ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá mọ̀ wípé yes nǹkan báyìí lẹ́yìn face ẹ̀yin pè mí tó bá jẹ́ wípé nǹkan fún ọjà títà náà ni tẹ́ lè máa fi rí business yín tà àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè wọ́n sínú ṣọ́ọ̀bù yín tẹ́ lè fi máa fọ ọwọ́ yín láti máa fi move business yín tọ̀tún tòsì kẹ́ máa fi ṣe kíni kẹ́ máa fi gba owó ọjà gbogbo ẹ̀ ló wà níbí báyìí tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ pé àwọn nǹkan ọ̀fà náà ni àwọn ṣẹ́ tẹ́ lè lò fún ọ̀fà wà ẹ̀yin tó bá ta lọ́fà tẹ́bẹ̀ bá ní àpá àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè fi pa láti fi pa orú ọ̀fà yẹn láti lè fi tì jáde kápá yẹn kó parẹ́ ó wà bákan náà dẹ̀ làwọn nǹkan múmu fún ọ̀fà náà ó wà àwọn iṣẹ́ lóríṣiríṣi ó wà available ó depend lórí nǹkan tẹ́yin bá rí pé ẹ̀ ń face ẹ̀yẹn ṣáà ti pè mí Kristi lọ́ba àdúrà gbogbo wa máa gbà ṣe rí ogun tó halẹ̀ mọ́ wa yẹn ó máa dohun ìgbàgbé a ò ní rí mọ́ níwọ̀nba ìgbà táwọn ọmọ Ísírẹ́lì bojú wẹ̀yìn tí wọ́n rógun Fáráò mọ́ ogun kankan ò lélelele kó lu wa má ṣe èyí tó bá wá gbàbọ̀dé a máa gé ayọ̀ àké la máa yọ ti àdábáwo tá bá yọ àkéèdì tá bá gbélé lẹ́ẹ̀kan báyìí ó máa fọ́ká wẹ́wẹ́ ni so bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn àwọn ọlọ́fíndà náà dẹ̀ wà lóríṣiríṣiríṣi aláwọn ọlọ́fíndà ọ̀nà ńlá back to sender divine grace miss paris 77 chairman ó pọ̀ lóríṣiríṣi àwọn pef pọ̀ lóríṣiríṣi kó má dàbí àsọdùn ẹ jẹ́ kí n show yín láwọn spiritual items wa àwọn ìtẹ́ bá fẹ́ níbẹ̀ mo bọ̀ o ṣé mo lè tọ́nù kíní ìṣá àwọn nǹkan lóríṣiríṣi tẹ́ lè lò mi ìfẹ́ kíní cut ó máa cut anyway àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ bá ṣàfẹ́ tẹ́ bá fẹ́ lò tẹ́ mọ̀ wípé yes tẹ́ lè lò fún spiritual items ẹ pè mí ó wà available tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ àwọn aṣọ náà ni lace wà ankara wà damask wà òfì wà aṣọ ọkùnrin wà èyí tẹ́ bá ti fẹ́ ready to wear ẹ nídàá ti làágùn jìnnà ṣẹ́rí a tún ti reload ojú òní tí wá gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́lẹ̀ ń patronize Lady K Ìfẹ́ Olúwa show ọlá yín ni mo fi mi lágbára Ọlọ́run mi ní wá yín tì ní agbára Ọlọ́run gbogbo àdáwọ́lé tí yín náà máa yọrí sí rẹ̀ ẹ̀ ní bá wọn wówó tì ẹ̀ ní bá wọn kí náírà kú àtijọ́ ẹ̀yin tí ẹ bá wá fẹ́ pè mí WhatsApp number mi tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ ó ti travel out wọ́n ti bound ẹ̀ so new number mi òun lẹ́wọ̀n lójú screen yìí ẹ̀yin tó bá dẹ̀ jẹ́ wípé àwọn èèyàn ti ń pè yín pé àwọn ò máa gẹ́ẹ̀tì phone number Lady K mo ẹ jẹ́ bá mi share number mi fún wọn ẹ má wá gbàgbé láti bá mi share program because mi ní àwọn èèyàn ní contact mi mọ́ tí mo lè share fún àfàwọn kọ̀ọ̀kan tó ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń pè mí nísìn even na gbogbo group gan group tí mo wà ń sìn bóyá ló pé mẹ́rin lọ́nà out of like 70 group gbogbo ẹ ti lọ so ẹni tó report to WhatsApp number mi yẹn èmo sọ fún yín pé wọ́n ṣe mílíkà oore ló máa ń ṣe èmi àyọ̀ká oore ló máa ń ṣe mí abẹ́rẹ́ tèmi dẹ̀ máa lọ kọ́nà òkun yín tó dí so ẹ̀yin tẹ́ lọ rìpọ́ọ̀tù síìmù yẹn tẹ́ jẹ́ kó gbé lọ ẹ̀yin lẹ́ni ìṣòro o mo sọ fún yín tẹ́ ní bẹ́ẹ̀gì yín lójú igi àyọ̀ká máa rúwé ṣé mi ò ti gbé kúrò lára gbà tó yẹ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀lẹ̀ ní mo rò fún ọ̀sẹ̀ kan pé àwọn kọ́sítọ́mà báwo mo fẹ́ ṣe torí òun mo fi ṣe business mi òun mo fi ń tajà mi but nísìn mo ti gbé kúrò lára omi tí màá mu kò ní ṣọ̀kànjá mi bó ṣe jẹ́nu yàrá ni mo ti ń tajà yìí ọlọ́rọ̀ ẹ̀mí àwọn wòlíì àṣekínni á máa bá mi tà á so bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn so ẹ jọ èyí tẹ́ bá fẹ́ patronize mi anything ẹ pè mí anything tó bá ti ní ṣe pẹ̀lú spiritual tẹ́ ní ìdáwọn kan tẹ́ lè lò call me tó bá jẹ́ àwọn nǹkan awọ́rò ṣọ́ọ̀bù ni ẹ pè mí tó bá jẹ́ àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè máa spray sínú ṣọ́ọ̀bù yín láti fi move business yín ẹ pè mí tó bá jẹ́ àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè máa fi wẹ̀ ẹ pè mí tó bá jẹ́ pé ẹ̀yin tẹ̀ tún wá jó níṣẹ́ oṣù ẹ ń fẹ́ gbéga níbi iṣẹ́ àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè lò láti rí ojú rere àti àánú gbà tí kò ní sí pé wọ́n á bínú sí yín tí kò ní sí wípé ẹ lè ẹ̀bá gbogbo ẹ̀yin tó jẹ́ pé tẹ́ bá tájẹ̀tì nǹkan yẹn máa ń padà fail ó máa ń bọ́mọ yín lọ́wọ́ ẹ pè mí ní agbára Ọlọ́run ẹ̀ tún bá wọn má mú bọ́mọ́ ní orúkọ Jésù ẹ tún máa mú bọ́mọ́ so ẹ pè mí àwọn nǹkan tẹ́ lè lò láti fi stop ẹ láti fi ṣẹ́ gbogbo yẹn ó wà available àdúrà gbogbo wa ń gbà èmi ọmọ yín náà ní Lady K Ìfẹ́ Olúwa show the baby of Yorùbá nation no fighting no violence torí àwọn kan tọ́ mi ń jà lẹ́nu ọjọ́ mẹ́ta ṣùgbọ́n èmi ò jà I'm not fighting anybody I'm not making violence I'm not harassing anybody I'm not saying any hate words to anybody so bó ṣe jẹ́ nìyẹn ṣé gan mo dúpẹ́ o ire o.